Good evening, fine people of Tinternet. It is time for some Midweek Geek. And as you know, I am the old geek because I'm old and I'm a geek. We have Elfbait with us, who is Elfbait because he's elf and he's bait. No, I don't know. That didn't work.
No.
No, okay. And Sean, you're a mage and you muse. Is that what you?
Something like that. Yeah, that's a
Something
good descriptor.
Right, and we have some people in chat as well. Bear. Now, I've just said to the others, I was surprised to see you commenting in there because I thought you were in hibernation, Bear. I thought you'd packaged your nuts away for the winter.
Well, what bears do is slow their heartbeat down to 1 beat per minute or something like that. So,
yes.
hello, Kabuki Kid. It's been a while.
We have Lee Baker, we have a Full Metal Dragon, we have a Halakart, and we have a Handy Hewson, and Andy Hewson. Might be a Handy Hewson. Handy Hewson, yes. So, you're just not broadcasting. You just keeping yourself off the airwaves.
I'm making up the slack for Bear by having a reachable shelf for the time being.
Very nice it is too. I have no, there's no shelf there. My shelf's over there. But anyway, let's have a little look. Okay, so we've got 11 people lurking. About 5 people have said hello to us. Any games this last week, chaps? I know you've been playing games. Hello, Doom Driver. Eli, any games?
No. I had to cancel my Sunday game. So that game hasn't played for over a month and a half.
It's last week for me. My gaming was just doomed, cursed from start to finish. It just seemed that people were away at Halloween things, bonfire things, moving houses, whatever. And all my Saturday games were called off, and my attempted Tuesday game was called off. And back to normal though. We played on Monday my face-to-face game, so we got going again there, which was good. Mostly a role-playing and organisation session. I think I rolled 3d20 throughout the entire session, and that was it. And I don't mind that at all.
Hello, I've been working on gaming stuff. I just haven't played anything. So
I did a few video bits and bobs on Monday and Tuesday. I was very pleased to see that everyone took my Demons and Devils one with the right spirit. There was no wow actuallys in the comments. It was meant to be silly. And
yeah, I mean the closest I did was give you shit for slamming on Moloch, but
yeah, the only thing he's got going for him is the artwork
and the level of merchandising. I don't think any other devil in D&D has as much merchandise built around them as Moloch.
But that doesn't put you into geek or nerd tier.
Sure it does. If you're not you.
Fair enough. Everybody else about him was very average.
The way I was looking at what I was giving you crap there. She's like, he's been imitated in other products. Other companies other OSR have tried to recreate him. So yeah.
I said it was an entirely arbitrary video. It was just meant to be silly, and I was just ripping the piss out of as much as I could, as quickly as I could, and being daft.
Like this is serious business. You're not meant to be silly. You've got to take it straight serious.
Yeah.
Like his comment on you slamming Grazed for being too close to Drizzed. Yeah.
And why not?
Yeah.
And why not? And most of that was improvised. The only thing I had planned before I went to there was the order of the pictures, which I even got wrong, and the idea that Glacier was going to be right at the top and Asmodeus was going to have my soul for his daughter's hand. That was the only thing I'd remotely planned. The rest of it was just like made up on the moment. Anyway, Sean. Anyway, you of course have been to a fine convention, haven't you?
We did ClearCon on the weekend,
which
was tons of fun. So yeah, games I played in the Dungeon Ministers game on the Friday night after our opening feast, which was a lot of fun. There were 10 of us in the group, He DM'd 10 of us. So we all second level, but when the first thing he threw at us was a troll, we just kind of steamrolled a troll and was like, okay, this is going to be interesting.
Yes.
But there were 3 casualties, so 30% of the players did end up dying at some point in the game. So they were the first. He had a wall of heroes, so where people would tape up dead characters who were killed over the weekend.
Good.
So he got off to a start with the 3 Beckme characters. So that was a lot of fun. And yeah, he's going to recap it on his channel. So he's going to do a special Clericon recap of that game. I'm going to do the same. I ran 2 tables. Learned some lessons about public games. It had been a while since I'd run a public game, let alone a convention game, which was sort of my first time there. I'm used to having players that I know intimately, and you get a table full of strangers. It changes the dynamic, especially when you ask. I had asked Aaron to cap me at 6, and he miscounted and had 7. And then before I started, he'd asked if his son could slide in and play as well. So it's like, all right, so now I'm running 8 people, and I'd given everybody level 3 to 5 pre-gen, so they naturally steamrolled the scenario.
But it was all fun though.
It was all fun. I was a little off my game in the evening game. I was getting tired. I only had 4 for that one. I wish I could have split the difference, taken 2 from the afternoon game and put them in the evening. But a little more sluggish, and even a couple of the players were a little sluggish, so I don't think that one was as successful. But I'll talk about that in the videos. I'm going to talk about the dynamic of playing in that sort of scenario. But it was a fun event, and yeah, he's waffling about doing it again. He definitely wants to, and we'll see what happens. He'll do it. If he said if he does, it'll be a couple weeks earlier, so mid-October, after Thanksgiving. Our Thanksgiving is in early October.
Let some of the trauma of running this one kind of wear off before he starts talking seriously about it.
I don't think it was any trauma. It was a pure high. Everybody had a good time. Everybody got along.
I say that in jest. Basically the shell shock of running a convention for the first time.
But he'll probably need a bigger venue. I mean, we had, I'm guessing around 50 people, and it was just right for the size.
Yeah.
If we had any more, it would have been got a little unwieldy. And the other thing I suggested to him was the live stream panel we did. We sort of had the convention goers as a captive audience because it was all just one room, and it would probably be better to do that in a private room where people could still mill about and do convention stuff in the main room, but without disrupting the stream. I think that would have been good. Yeah.
The only thing I got with I was trying to catch up with those videos while I was at work, allegedly working on a very quiet Sunday, and the audio from the panel discussion was I couldn't hear it at work at all.
Right. Yeah, because he just set up his phone on a tripod. There was no mic. So yeah, that might be something else to consider, is to mic up set up a camera or something like that. A little better setup. Put some mics on the table.
Yeah. But obviously, I mean, it was. But for a first attempt at a convention, for all the glowing reviews I've seen, for everyone saying what a great atmosphere it was, how nice everybody was, I think that's fantastic. I mean, it's come across as being. I want to go next year.
Yeah.
And the wife has given me permission. So yes.
set aside your super chats and stuff like that as your Clericon fund. Over the course of a year, you might be able to pull it off without disrupting your regular income.
I might even be able to make it. Might have to find somebody who's heading up that way past me, because I'm not safe to drive that far by myself.
If I drove west here, of course, I wouldn't get very far, would I? I'd go through Wales into the Irish Sea and drown.
But it would show your dedication.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
Just do the rail rodder thing. Did you ever see the rail rodder? Just do that thing. That was the old Buster Keaton film, his last film, where he basically goes to Canada by just walking along the core, the bottom of the ocean, then comes up on the coast. And
there we go. That's the way to do it. Lots of people have joined us while we've been waffling, so I'm just going to say a few more quick hellos. I see Squirrels popped in, and we've got Manfred and Ethan and From the Hilt. And is there anybody I've not said hello to? Anybody? Oh, there's RW Bishop. I think I've done my. I think I've been quite attentive with my hellos. The James Bond Lotus from For Your Eyes Only. Well, yeah. The thing is that those Lotus Esprits were an iconic vehicle, but they weren't very reliable. And the daft thing is, one that runs underwater, they don't even run when it rains. So anyway, I still wanted one. But yeah, I'd like to go to that. I'd like to go to the con next year, especially seeing it. A plane ticket's only going to be sort of £300 to £400, hopefully. It's a lot less than I thought it was going to be.
Do you know any flight attendants? Do you have any friends who are flight attendants?
Sadly, not.
I was about to say, because sometimes they can take you as a sort of a standby ticket, and you can fly for free.
Do I need to start sort of hanging around airports?
If it helps.
Smiling. Yeah. Yes, that would get me arrested, though. Right. But say I'm insanely jealous. It looks like you all had a really good time. I'd like to win a game there next year. I'll probably like to win a late night Cthulhu game. Perhaps if anyone's up for that.
No, Richard the Dungeon Crawler has started the ball rolling with your flight funds.
Richard. Thank you, Richard. And nice to have a chat to you last night. Hope you enjoyed the chat. It was good to get somebody new onto the screen on the channel. Next time I'll remember to help you set up the simulcast so you can simultaneously stream it to your own channel. So help get people involved there as well, because I found that streaming is a good way of getting a little community around you. You can really engage with people. So, but thanks for having a good chat last night, Richard. That was good fun. But thanks for the $20. It's marvelous. And Jean has joined us as well. Jean is running our RSC game on Saturday afternoon. You gonna be there?
Afternoon your time, I assume. I mean,
yes.
Morning here. Yeah. I should be. I'm pretty clear now. After ClearCon, my schedule is kind of opened right up. I'm just unpacking in the new place. But I'm even at the dregs of that. I've mostly got a livable space. Imagine that after 3 weeks of living in a sea of boxes.
Oh, well, there we go. I suppose it saves on the heating bill, so it's all quite cozy with all the boxes around you.
Yeah, and I've got lots of duvets too. So
and
it's cooler here than my old apartment was a sauna. It was super hot. I was right in the center. It was radiator heating, and I was in the center of all the units, so super hot. Now it's like I've got to keep warm. I got to wear socks and slippers and keep a blanket nearby. It's a bit of a shift.
Bear! The Get Me to Canada Fund. Thank you.
You have a passport, right?
I haven't got a passport yet. I need to apply for one.
You got a year.
Yeah. I've got to take a photo that doesn't crack the camera. But thank you, Bear. Thank you. Manfred Murph was last Saturday. We play fortnightly. So you've got to wait 2 weeks. This week is the double header of OSE with Gene running in the morning Western time, West Atlantic time, afternoon our time, and the other one is the evening session, which I will be running. So there we go. That's this weekend. What's this? Do we have each have an old duplicate gaming item we could auction off to make a travel scholarship to help people go? Oh, there's an idea. There is an idea. Though I gave all my duplicates away on the 1,000. Remember the 1,000 subscriber stream I did? That was all my duplicates I gave away for that. And anything I got a backup copy of went away as a gift. So
yes, Halakar, you need a passport to even cross into the U.S., Canada from the U.S. and vice versa. Now it used to be all you needed was your driver's license, but now they require a passport.
Yeah, that was the nice thing living in Washington, where I did trips up to Vancouver were so easy. I could grab a Greyhound, go up for the weekend, come back. Not anymore.
So we've had Richard, then we had Bear, we've got Halakar suggesting raising money, and now we've got the Squirrel Hermit. Cheers, Squirrel. Cheers, chaps. Yeah. I can look. Don't all feel sorry for me. I can afford. I mean, if I put away, if I squirrel away £10 a week, that'll cover the travel expenses, and then I just need to find a few, a little bit of pocket money.
Well, the squirrel is giving it back.
He is, yeah, he is, yeah. So we've got some nuts from the bear, and we've got some nuts from the squirrel. Not sure what euphemism to use for Richard, but anyway, shall we get onto some form of topic?
He's a dungeon crawler. He brought you the loot.
Yes. And it looked like it was a nice solid treasure type A, one of those good solid ones. But anywho, thank you all for your stunning generosity. We have a topic to go into, and the topic tonight is when I first came back to the hobby and I saw all this gadgetry being used to run games and people running things using PDFs and phones with dice rollers on them, I completely poo-pooed the idea. I didn't want to know. And then we had this sort of enforced thing thrust upon us a few years ago that made us play online. And thus we learned to play over Discord and Roll20 and things like that. And I'd like to think, I don't know how many games you've run online. I think you only run face-to-face, don't you, Sean?
I know I run online. I run my 5th ed games online, yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. I thought I wasn't aware. So we're looking at tips that we can now give, now that we've got a little bit of experience of running games online, to other people who are in the situation.
I've got no advice. I came here to learn from Elfbait because he does all of his games online.
Yeah, like John, I would not have, if not for COVID, though, because we were steadily playing in person. I had a space. I had a regular group. I had multiple spaces because I could play in my game room, but I also had a dining room table, so it was really easy to set up. And then COVID happened. Remote gaming was useful. I was able to get players into the playing that I wasn't able to get to my in-home games just because of scheduling or whatever. And it just stuck. and then of course now I'm a bazillion miles away from anybody. So that's the only way.
As a result of learning to play and run games online, I'm now playing more games than I ever have, more frequently than I ever have, because you don't have as many of the scheduling issues. Apart from last week, which was a real odd week where people were just away and all sorts was going on. All the games just went kaput because of lots of things happening at the same time. But most weeks I'm now running or playing in an average of 3 games a week. Different games, different systems, different worlds, different DMs. Some weeks I'll run 3 games and play in another. And that's never happened before. And playing online has allowed that to happen. But I'm going to admit it now. I do prefer playing face-to-face, and I think most of us do, because it gives it's a much more personal environment. But running online, I have found, does tend to require a little more preparation. So let's start off with a few tips that people have got regarding just helping a game get going smoothly from the outset.
So prep work,
that sort of thing. Yeah.
Right. One of the things that I found when switching to online play is the lack of the ability to really quickly scribble things out on a piece of note paper. Like if somebody's like, I'm not getting the room, and you're like, all right, scribble, and then they show it or on a grid map. So having a map ready, and even for me, a lot of times I will literally just make it up as I go along. There won't actually even be a map. So I more often had to keep a map ready. That has its own foibles, and I'll save that till the inevitable part where we talk about the troubles with playing online. But I found that communicating with the players, I had to do a lot more of that between games than when we were at the table too. There's something about the attention span and the way that information sticks. So I had to be much more communicative, and I had to make sure I had my maps and everything ready to be able to show. Also, knowing your programs, like if you're gonna know your online virtual tabletops, and God forbid that they update them and you don't keep track of it. Like when they recently changed Albert Rodeo. Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, Roll20 was changed recently too, but it was actually became more intuitive, so it was a quicker learning process.
I was, but I don't have a ton of hints to give for prep work or anything like that because it didn't change that much. There were just a few little bits where it changed, at least for me. So,
well, I found, of course, theater of the mind doesn't change all that much because you're not going to need the tools of the maps. I like a tactical grid. I like the minis aspect of it, and when you're doing it right online, you need the maps. You need them in advance. And something I liked about Roll20 was, and I think the other systems have too, is that dynamic lighting, which changes things around. Like it reduces your need to describe everything, because if the map is detailed enough and the torch lights are set properly, all you have to do is answer questions that players is, hey, what's that thing in the corner? And it's like, oh, that's a glitch. Ignore that. Or, oh no, that's a rock, or what have you. And that was actually interesting. But the flip side is it required a lot more work, a lot more prep. And that's time I'd rather be spending prepping, the role play stuff, the characters, understanding the motivations and all that. So
yeah, I didn't get bogged down in I avoided using the Roll20 tools. That was just more work than I wanted to put into it. I was able to meet sort of a middle ground by using Dungeon Draft, and the reason being is that you can put light sources on there, so it will still radiate where the light goes, and so I was able to get semi-dynamic lighting. It wouldn't change based on what's going on in the game, but players could see where the circle of a torch was, or see the red glow coming out of that door down the hallway. So there was that. But
Richard's asking, is it possible to have a vinyl map with a separate camera? It is. If you watch Bruce Lombardo, that's how he does his games online. You can see how he does that. He'll have a camera aiming at his game board and everybody else in their own windows.
Yeah, if you have enough cameras and enough rigging, you can do
anything.
A lot. Yeah, it's if you're trying to stick to just two screens on your desk, it can be a little trickier. So even still, I mean, was it in one of your games, John? Somebody figured out how to do a blank owlbear rodeo so they could map the dungeon.
Yeah, I'm just going to present something now. I mean, for me, the biggest boon that I've found in recent weeks, more than anything, I no longer fuss about putting my own maps into Roll20. I tell the players they've got to draw it themselves as they go along.
And that's a good way to play. Definitely it'll reduce your technical requirements and your technical prep. You can just get right into it, which is fairly similar to how you do theater of the mind, is the players will be drawing their own map. Yeah. Just don't let me do the drawing of the map, because it will not turn out accurate. That
is level 4 of the Caverns of Krampus.
Sean's forehead is now.
I will just There we go. But yeah, I mean, I mean, look at the quality. Look at the artistry that's gone into that.
I think that's Flan, isn't it?
It's mostly Slan who does the drawing. Yes.
Yeah,
But
we discovered early that he's good at it, so he's become the mapper by default.
But you can see where there are errors, can't you? If you look in the middle of the map, that squiggly line. I don't tend to correct them when they've drawn something the wrong size, unless it really matters. So I just let them go. Just let them go. But that's one of my tips for playing online. Don't even upload a map. Just keep a map in front of you and let the players draw it as you go along. It makes the game feel even more old school. But that's the players have drawn that. Shall we just zoom in on the most recent bit? Do you remember this encounter?
I haven't played in over a month, so I don't know if there's anything new.
Let's just zoom in on this. This is where the party finished last time.
I got my character to level 2, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to play him for a bit because he might die. I earned this level 2, damn it.
Well, then this is one of these is Constiturum down the bottom.
Oh, you haven't played then? Because
no, we haven't. No.
All right.
But yeah, that was the most recent encounter at the bottom.
I don't even remember it.
You don't? Oh, it was that memorable.
No, it was just that long ago, and it's like a lifetime ago now.
Well, you all piled into a boat, didn't you? And then you got pelted by Krampus elves.
Okay, I remember. Yeah, that's coming.
And then you got hit fairly hard by these little gnomey elvy things on the other bank, and you all decided to turn the boat around and go back again. But there we go. That is my biggest tip for playing online is get the players to make the map. I'm just going to remove that.
And that absolutely works in theater of the mind. You know, I mean, when you get jackasses like me who want a little more tactical detail, you're going to want them measured out properly, because movement then becomes an issue, spacing, ranges, all that.
Yeah.
And I've never been a fan of having the players map the dungeon anyways, because it always ends up being 3 times as much time just trying to have them figure out what it is they're supposed to draw. So
just let them get it wrong.
Well, no, I mean, they're literally going to sit there and ask, was that 10 feet? Was that, there's always that back and forth every time I've tried to do it. So I just don't do it. So having a map ready has always worked better, and just using Fog of War. So
that requires some technical skill, doesn't it, though, to use?
Not if you're using Owlbear Rodeo. It's literally cut and paste.
Even Roll20's dynamic lighting is, once you get used to it, it's pretty intuitive.
And if you don't want to set up the dynamic lighting, you can just use the cut and paste Fog and War too. So
yeah, okay. Dynamic lighting chews up a lot of RAM though, so you need at least 8 gigs. Otherwise, you're going to be slowing yourself down.
Then you can become super user.
Good evening, Dioga.
Like Oscar does. In his game, he had a setup to where we could only see what our icon could see. So it wasn't even like a group map. You literally could only see what you had viewed from your icon's point of view. Mm-hmm. That was nuts.
You can also change the range of vision so that, so it's like real vision. It's like you got the 90 degrees, but you can't see what's behind you.
Yeah, I mean,
unless you rotate your token.
Yeah, that was just crazy. He stopped doing that after a while because it had a tendency to mess up. That's the other thing, is some of the programs can be a little buggy with the more sophisticated tools. So one thing I really liked about Owlbear Rodeo is it was literally just laying a map down on the board, and I would grab like a Dyson's logo map, slam it on there, adjust the grid size to match his grid size, and I could just use that. I wouldn't have to put pieces together or anything like that. I could draw a map in any program and throw it down there. I even kept our campaign map on Owlbear, and I had 2 tokens, one for where the party was and one for where they were headed. And that way we could progress. And if they got lost, they'd still have to do all the checks. This is where you're trying to go. And then, if they got lost, their token would move around and stuff. Actually, if they got lost, the token would stay where they last knew where they were. And then,
I am going to show you another picture from one of my games, but I will say straight away that if you are of the somewhat easily offended persuasion, then avert your eyes now, because you will see what my other group of players, my Monday group of players, do when they get hold of a map that I've spent hours drawing. Now, this map has taken me a long time to draw. This is one of my hand-drawn ones. I think map making really does help with game immersion as a player. I like making maps as a player, but
It's totally going to come down to your players.
Absolutely. But this is a game I ran where I've actually drawn the maps and then I've scanned them in, and this takes much more time to prepare and much more time for me to find. All right. Have a look at some of the names that they've put that they've labeled on here.
You're gonna have to zoom in.
Yeah, we can't
It might be. All right. Okay. Well, see this little snaking thing up here? That is labeled sperm. They're really grown up. We have the cock crossing across the river, and this shaft here is labeled butthole. So this is what happens when a group of
really some finely educated people.
Yes,
I approve.
Yes, but no, these are 30-somethings. These are 30-somethings. But this is a map I drew. I scanned it in, and you can. This is what I would see when I'm running it. But from a player's point of view, everywhere that's shaded will not be visible.
Right. So you're using the fog of war.
The fog of war, yeah. And that is the first level below the Lost City in the Goodman Games conversion of the Lost City. So this is going down to the Lost City and then below. And that's what it looks like. Anyhow.
John, I had no idea you liked the Lost City.
You had no idea I like the Lost City?
You've never mentioned it.
No, I've never mentioned how much I like the Lost City.
Well kept secret.
Oh, yeah. I'm shocked.
In fact, John is absolutely cryptic about his gaming tastes.
Slight non sequitur before we go back on topic. Sax, just don't have an aneurysm. But I came across this article from a couple of years ago where the guy lists the 5 or 6 worst D&D modules, and the first one on that list was the Keep on the Borderlands. It's like, what?
Was he from Bizarro World?
So there's a map.
Tell me you're an absolute dick without telling me you're an absolute dick.
There's a map they didn't get their hands on. Look, I can draw. I can draw maps. That's about it.
I almost want to link to that article, Sean, just so I can go tell him how wrong he is.
I'll send it. I'll find it and send it to you. It came up in my Facebook feed.
Let me get the appropriate props for this. Well, actually,
I think there's a good tip here from Nerdy Ogre. Make sure your players have their character's name on the screen. That really does help.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Especially
considering I have a memory of a goldfish.
Absolutely. That is the amount of times I've ended up as DM calling my players' characters by the player's name because I can't remember which character they're playing, especially if it's a different game to the one we played the session before or characters have changed. It's hard to remember. So yeah. That's a good little tip. But I as you can see, I do use Roll20. But one thing I'm not mad keen on is the dice rolling in Roll20. 3D dice don't work properly on my computer.
You can turn them off.
Yeah, but you're having to type in the command in the bottom right as well. There's
a dice rolling icon on the upper left there. You can just click on the die you want. You don't have to type it in.
It's not as good as the one in Owlbear, in my opinion.
Love it or leave it. One of the best physical dice rollers I've run into is the one on D&D Beyond. That one is really good. To the point where it does the miserable thing where you're waiting for the die to actually stop rolling because you're like, the only thing that it can't simulate is the die rolling off the table.
Albert simulates it being cocked on the side of the dice tray.
Yeah, but it still gives you a result.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But for dice rolling, I would, even if you're not using Albert for anything else, I would recommend having a little Albert window, little session open, and have people do their dice rolling in there.
If your computer has the RAM to support it, yeah.
That is, it's okay though, isn't it? When you haven't got a big map going on. We found Albert really slows down when you've got a big map and a lot of tokens. That can be an issue. So,
of course, I don't have any problem with my players using their physical dice if they want to. One of my players wants the experience. I have one player who's like, I like rolling dice. I want the tactile experience. I'm like, all right, cool. I trust you. If you start getting an inordinate amount of really good rolls, I'm gonna call you on it. But so you're on the honor system here.
I like everybody on the same. Like I roll my game roll 20, and everybody rolls in the roll 20 window without fail, so we can all see the results, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, again,
roll 20 allows me to whisper the dice too, so I can do secret
does.
rolls and not worry about my players seeing it.
One advantage I have to
I do my secret rolls with real dice on the table.
Yeah,
so I want my players to hear that I'm rolling dice, but not see the results.
For my 5th edition game, at least, because we do the D&D Beyond stuff still, it really is useful too, because I can go in and do anything on anybody's character sheet on any of the player sheets as the DM in my campaign. I can pull up all their sheets. So if I need to do a perception check on somebody, I can literally pull it up and do like a secret roll on their character sheet. So it's pretty cool that way.
You can do what you like with the character sheets in Roll20 as well, I believe.
Yeah. There's the character sheets in Roll20, depending on which one you're using, are kind of weird. Just an option. I mean, it's of absolutely no use to me if I'm playing anything other than D&D 5e, but the Call of Cthulhu sheet, for example, on Roll20 is really nice. Well, if you use the right one, there's a couple of them, and one of them sucks and one of them's good. So
I think I know which way around you mean. I believe we use the one that's decent. It has an edit mode and a rolling mode,
and it has the green and the purple bonus and penalty dice options in there, and you can. Yeah, I just actually, honestly, on that one, it's easier to just have them roll any roll with the purple die. That way, they just don't have to worry about it, because it gives you the same results either way. But
do either of you want to bring up an Albert Rodeo window and just demonstrate how nice the dice are?
No, because I haven't got used to the new Albert Rodeo yet.
Okay. You talk amongst yourselves, and I'll do it.
I'm still pissed at them. I'm like, you took your very simple interface and just absolutely screwed it up by trying to make it cool.
Trying to compete with the others, with Foundry and Roll20.
I know, but it's like enjoying a really cool independent comic book and then having them go mainstream.
All right, I'm just going to go into Albert Rodeo now. Right, okay. So I'll just share my screen. This is my Albert Rodeo coming in very, very shortly.
Yeah, I will try to pull mine up just so I don't seem like such a doof. But
okay, share screen. Albert Rodeo. So those who've not seen Albert Rodeo, this is the most basic you'll see, right? There's no map loaded or anything, but you can see on the left-hand side, you've got this little dice tray,
which you can expand.
All you do,
you can expand it too.
Oh yeah, you can. Yes, but I'm not going to. And shall I roll a d20? There we go. Click roll. There we are. You see it rolling. Oh, look at that! I've wasted. I've wasted a 19.
The thing I like about Albert Rodeo is you're not seeing it here because this is John's POV, but other players will see a little mini tray in the lower left and see the actual dice rolling, so you can see what people are rolling.
Yes. So it's all good and visible. And yes, I mean, Richard, people do fake rolls. What is the fun? I don't know. But
so trying to achieve win conditions, so they'll cheat.
Yeah. But it is having everyone witnessing all the rolls. It helps with the tension. And one thing that's really nice for me about the Albert Rodeo one is it is just a click. You just click and do it. I'm going to call out a couple of regulars now who do. We've tried rolling dice in Discord, and we've tried typing dice in Roll20, and because the formatting is different, you have to keep repeating what the format is. Manfred, you struggle in Discord. You've admitted that. You've admitted that many times. And Daniel, bless him, he's not here at the moment, but we always have to explain to Daniel what he needs to type in to get the dice working. Having a point and click one like that helps us old sausage fingered, crusty, grey-haired people who struggle with modern technology. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah,
definitely.
Probably.
Yes, Manfred. You're just making excuses now, Manfred. Just not familiar with my Discord. Yeah, there are lots of different dice spots in Discord, and the one I use is it's all different. They're all different. But so shall we roll some more dice? I'm going to roll shall I do a 3d6? Look, click it 3 times. There we go.
Let's make a character. Okay, we got a 9.
And look, that one on the left-hand side is cocked on the side of the tray. But it's still giving us the 3. But so there we are. That's Albert Rodeo's dice rolling. Very, very very nice. And you can change your dice as well. You can change your dice images. I'll just open it up again. Come on, Albert Rodeo. There we go. If I can just remember what you click on to change it.
For shame.
I can't remember what I click on to change it. Is it spin at the top? There we go. Look at that. I'm going to use these nice blue ones. 1, 2, 3, 3d6. There we go. 6. So that's how hard Albert Rodeo is. Really, really easy. Manfred, are you a little bit behind the stream here? That it wasn't a Mott and Bailey. It was actually a volcano, and that one I was showing a little moment ago. Where was it? This is me being a bit of that one there. That is actually from the Lost City as well, and it's a volcano, and that's the lava in the middle of the volcano. In the center is an Euphrates keep.
Now, the problem with Albert, of course, is the map gets more intense. The more you draw it, it really chews up your memory, and it gets slow, really slow. We know we got to the point it was unplayable. If they correct that, then they're going to have a good competitor for the other boys.
Absolutely. Because Albert it's very simple. It's very easy. And yes, it does lack a few of the features, but it's getting there. But we've had a few slowdown issues. We've had to have Slan tidying up the maps, haven't we, on a number of occasions, because he is our map guru. But
I'll still say it was perfectly fine before they changed it. But I understand that they're trying to be competitive, but I think they kind of built themselves out of their niche. Like their niche was the simple to use it, and everybody could use, and that was the neat thing about them. They had some pretty cool stuff, like you could actually put like a spell effect on somebody and then lock it in as an effect that was locked onto the icon. So as the character icon moved around, they had a mounts option where you could set a particular icon as a mount. So if you moved a character on top of that and then moved the mount, the character would move with it. So that was really useful. I actually had for 5e, I had all the condition rings that I could drop down over the icons to show when they're stunned or poisoned or whatever. So it's pretty cool.
Having those just being one click away. I like those little color blobs you can put on your tokens in Roll20 just to signify various effects.
Yeah, and Albert Rodeo had this simple, like if you needed a like an area of effect, you could easily just draw a circle. And the nice thing is that you didn't have to try and draw it from the corner like you did normally. You'd hit the pinpoint, and as you expanded it, it would grow from the center. So you could, if it was a 15-foot radius, you could point it at the center and just actually grow it out to 15 feet. So it was really useful and easy. In fact, so useful and easy that I kept forgetting and thinking I was having to do it like you do in like MS Paint, where you have to start at the corner and then draw the circle.
One other thing I'm finding, when I first saw that loads of stuff was available as PDFs, I've always hated running things from PDFs. But now that I've been running things in Roll20, I'm going to show you another screen now. This screen coming up now is just me grabbing an image from a PDF, plonking it in Roll20, and using it to add effect into an adventure. Let's just get this one open. Oh, I don't want. I keep clicking the wrong thing at the bottom.
I've done a lot more with Roll20 than I have Albert as far as specific stuff.
There we go. Anyone recognize what that's from?
Isn't that Orient Express?
It is. These are the maps that get supplied with horror on the Orient Express. Maps of the train layout, complete with broom cupboard brackets. No, you won't fit there. little bits of humour, but these do help. These do help with describing and getting players familiar with the layout of a train from the 1920s. And you can see at the bottom how my players have now labelled all the sleeping compartments. This was for the Blood Red Fez. My players themselves were in sleeping compartments 1 and 2. That it adds a nice little. But here's the map of London that is provided with the adventure, which helped a quick reference. I don't particularly like moving tokens around a gridded map, but in terms of displaying an otherwise complicated map to everybody can read it at the same time, even more easily than at the table. This is a great way of doing it.
All right, I've got one of my Roll20 screens up for my Call of Cthulhu game. That was a really useful thing to have too. I would do, let's see, whenever you want to pull it up there.
I'm just going to remove my one first.
All right, so this is one of the things I had, basically a list of things that they had located, so items, and I could have
the one you ran us through?
No, this is not the one I ran you through. These are accumulated through a couple of different adventures.
Right.
But for my campaign, every time they would find an item, I could have it on here as an item, and then I could make it accessible to players as they became able to find it, even though I could keep it secreted away in my database until they had access to it. And there could even be DM's notes on individual items that the players couldn't see, which is really good in, say, Call of Cthulhu or in D&D. If there's like a cursed item or something like that, the player could see all the wonderful benefits. But as the DM, I could look and see all the negative stuff. So these are items that my party had found. An Idol of Yig, a book called A Cosmic Truth, and a journal. These are all things that had different abilities and clues and information. It was really useful because you could just pop them out on the table when you wanted to, throw them away, throw out pictures of NPCs as they met them. that kind of a
Definitely
thing.
great for handouts. And I mean, aside from even running online, PDFs are great as, you want to print up those handouts, then you've got an endless supply. You don't have to worry about chewing up your original. Definitely great. And I like having the physical book if I'm reading, but
Absolutely.
I'll print up a PDF, and I've got a lot of my modules I've reprinted as PDFs, and then I don't care if they get shredded.
Yes. That's that. Excuse me. So yeah, as Manfred says here, maps and pictures are great. A picture is worth 1,000 words. Absolutely, and it's the fact that you can share it on the screen. And yes, it is. I love playing at a table where the DM hands you a sheet of paper, and you all sort of scrabble over it to read it. But do it online. You can just throw it up on screen, and people can read it as and when they need to, and refer back to it. It's there. It's easy, and it takes that little bit of preparation, obviously, beforehand, but it's not a slow process by any stretch of the imagination. Can it simulate the terror of having a D4 roll off the table, losing sight of it, and realizing you're barefooted? No. I don't think there's anything on the planet that can quite simulate that terror. Yeah. So, more of your tips, anyhow. Come on, fellas. Before I dig out my next one.
Move on, because I don't really have too many tips.
Yeah, tips, sort of align with just normal gaming. Take it slow. You're learning a new technology. The thing about adding in the online play, at least that I noticed, was, it's like it slows down the brain power because you're now thinking about something extra. So try not to do things that are too technological. I was adding in music and sound effect cues, and then I was like, okay, this is too much, and it detracts from the game.
Yeah,
so you can do it seamlessly, great, but
there's a tip: keep it simple. Keep it simple. Because for me, the single most important thing for an online game is to keep it running smoothly. It's so easy to lose engagement. It's much easier to lose your engagement playing online than it is at a table, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So one of the most important things for me is to try and shift the spotlight around fairly evenly, address players directly, and everyone needs to get into the habit of taking it in turns to speak as well, because you can't talk over each other. It's hard to have side conversations, little side discussions. So the game, the game will naturally play a little more slowly.
Yeah, you also have to learn a certain amount of patience that you don't have to learn at the. Well, I mean, you have to have patience at the table, but there is, because everybody's lagging and audio is not coming through real time. It is far easier to talk over people without intending to. And you have to be tolerant of that. Early on, people would get annoyed, and in my games, I'm like, look, they're not trying to talk over you. You guys are both having an idea and trying to talk at the same time, but there's some delay. And so you have to be a little more patient. It does require a lot more willingness to go, okay, I didn't hear that. All right, hold on. Let Scott finish. Whatever, Scott's one of my players, but let him finish, and then we can come back to you. As a GM, I find that I'm doing a little bit more traffic control than I would at a table. At least verbal traffic control, because I can't, unless we're on camera, I can't just point around the table like boom, boom, boom.
You point the wrong direction. Eli. Oh no, Eli. Eli. There we are.
Exactly. All of y'all. No. But
so as a DM, you have got to be a little bit more patient. You've got to be the sort of DM who is
players have
happy
to be patient too.
Yeah, but I mean, as a DM, you've got to be the sort of DM who will happily just sort of sit back and listen and enjoy listening to your players as they talk through their plans a lot more, I think, than at the table, because it just takes longer. It takes longer to get ideas across. It takes longer for people to explain themselves. because they can't, as they can't have these little side conversations. They're taking it in turn to speak. As I say, people are often mics are cutting out occasionally. Someone might be summoned by their wife to go and do the dishes mid game. It's those sort of things happen. You have to be ready to accept that.
The biggest problem with my game is one guy Discord keeps cutting him out, and he has to exit and reboot every hour or every half an hour.
I have one player who does something that absolutely annoys me. I would like to blame it on online play. It just got worse with online play. He will walk away from the table without telling anybody he's walking away. But he used to do this when we'd play in person. We'd be in the middle of a board game or whatever, and he'd just like walk out the door to do something like,
"Where are you going? It's your turn."
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was playing one time, and then suddenly in the background, I hear him, "Just a minute, I'm pulling something out of the oven." I'm like, okay, everybody understands that dinner happens. Just say, "I'll be back in a moment." You know?
Yes. Yeah, if you are playing online and you do have to go away from your keyboard, interrupt. Even if other people are talking, just interrupt and say, I'm just going to step away for a moment.
And you don't even have to interrupt, because there's always a chat window. Just say, "I have to step away." People will see it.
Yes, they will. Yes. So there you go. That's a little bit of courtesy, a courtesy tip.
Yeah, but that's courtesy. Courtesy applies live or online.
Especially if you're the DM.
Yeah.
One thing, going back to what Eli was saying about having notes. One nice thing about Roll20 is you can have a DM's layer on the map, so you can add little notes to your DM's layer that only you can see. So you can label the rooms ahead of time if you're using your own map that's pre-uploaded. Obviously, you can't do it if the players are drawing as they go along, but quite often I will have a little layer on some of my maps, which just reminds me of what's in each room. So I don't even have to glance at my adventure notes or anything. It's on screen. If they open a door noisily, I can see that there's 5 orcs in a room 40 feet away. I can roll very quickly and find out whether the orcs hear them or not. And having that little layer, a separate layer prepared, is a handy idea to make the environment run a lot smoother. So
it would be a fun thing. Take the map of the area, like the way you do, John. You do the theater of mind, let the players draw, but have the actual map on your GM layer just to see how close the players can get it.
Well, yeah, I could do that, but
give them the opening room, so there's an overlay at least in the one room, and then see how accurate it is. I will
say that there is one really nice thing about digital tabletops as opposed to physical tables. I've been able to run whole dungeons just from the map because I can have so much screen real estate and have all my notes in the margin on the map. Now I could do that at the table, but my ability to have the space and readily able to read it with my eye from like standing at the table, whatever, was a little bit limited. If I had my old Owlbear stuff, I could show you like what I mean, but yeah, I mean, I'll run whole dungeons where all of the important notes are just right there on my version of the map, and I don't ever have to actually refer to any text in the module for basic things like encounters or traps and stuff like that. So
that's how I mean, when I was running, you remember the adventure A2, Secret of the Slaver's Stockade. Really, it is a complicated and busy environment. And I printed out a copy of the PDF of the map and annotated the entire map, because I was running at the table, but annotated it with the contents of all the rooms, just so I had an idea of where the rooms have got so many hobgoblins and whatever moving about, just to get it have that feel. But having an annotated map does really help.
Yeah. But go ahead. I'll see if I can pull it up here while you're chatting on to the next topic.
Okay. I can't remember what I was going to say next. Oh yeah. One other thing. This is what I was going to do this on Saturday, but the game never happened because we had one of those issues where we had one player who couldn't arrive until an hour and a half into the session, one player who was available for the first hour and a half, one player who was available throughout, and two players who couldn't make it at all. So we decided to call it off. But that was, I was running. I prepared my MERP game. I've got all the maps all set up and everything, and I've done notes and stuff for my Arnor book. But in the past, I'd sat and flipped through my book while I've been running it just to remind myself of things and check my notes. My old computer is currently set up next to my newer one, and I was ready with that session with a screen up there with a Tolkien wiki open on my other screen, so I could run the game while talking to them, or the second time on a completely separate computer, having my Tolkien wiki open with a gazetteer open with all the names and everything that I always forget already sat there beside me, so that I could make it feel smoother and a bit more authentic, because I'm a bit notorious for forgetting names in that game. So there's a little thing for using technology. If you can have two screens going, one with like a PDF open, or Wikipedia open of some sort, whatever your reference guide is, just next to you. It's so easy just to have a mouse there and just be talking there and just going click, 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 and just look quickly glancing across. It's dead easy.
Yeah, I before we moved, I used to have three screens set up for my PC, so I could literally have like one screen with my character up, one screen with the dungeon. So here is a dungeon I made in Dungeon Draft for a Temple of Orcus, but you can see all the notes that are here. If I scroll around here, if it'll actually move, come on. It's not wanting to move around. All right. Anyways, you can see some of the notes coming in on the edges. It just doesn't want to actually drag and drop right now. But yeah, so like Skulls of the Elders once per day, and then I just had the whole map was just noted all over the place with encounters and things like that. So I didn't have to refer to my notes. I had written this all out ahead of time in note form, but I could have it right here on the map. And of course, with Dungeon Draft, you can also do fun things like drop down a level easily enough by just clicking the down button, or go up one level to the upstairs, and which is really cool. Because when you're making the maps, you can have a basically an overlay when all your maps line up. So it's pretty cool.
Halakar, I don't use a computer face-to-face gaming at all. I'm completely old school when it comes to face-to-face gaming. Real dice, pencils and paper, DM screen, and my hand gestures. Basically, that's it. But this is mainly about running online. But yeah, that I mean, you've mentioned Dungeon Draft before, Eli.
Great tool.
Is that paid? Is it paid software, isn't it?
Yeah, but you pay one time. Unlike things like Dungeon Fog, which are web-based and monthly subscription, Dungeon Draft is pay once, and it's yours, and then it updates constantly in the background. It's made by the same guy who did Wonder Draft, which is the tool I use for making world maps, and you've seen some of the maps I've done with that. Really good tools. Dungeon Draft is neat because it has so many layers of overlay. You can make like a complex item out of a bunch of bits and then save that. For example, if you have a well that you've made out of 4 or 5 different icons that are just layered on top of each other, you can save that to a library. And that way, anytime you need to place a well, you can just drop the whole well there. Or you can make like a cluster of warehouse boxes and then drop them. And then once they're dropped, you can separate them and then put them around. So a lot of times when I'm doing storerooms, for example, I'll just drop the warehouse box pre-made, and then I'll just rearrange where all the crates are and stuff like that. So
I mean, I've got a subscription with Incarnate, and I've been getting a bit frustrated with it recently. How would you compare Wonder Draft to Incarnate, or have you not used Incarnate at all?
I've not used Incarnate, so I can't compare, but
yeah, I use Incarnate, but I don't have a subscription. I just use the free version. It's very limited, but it does what I need it to do.
Yeah, as long as you don't want complex stamps, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's all the stamps that you pretty much pay for,
Yeah,
whether
I
it's
find
worth the $5
Wonder
a month I
Draft
pay for
is
it.
really versatile. So,
How much is Wonder Draft? Well, how much is the one-time fee?
$40, if that.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Incarnate
and
will cost you that for 1 year, right?
And then both Dungeon Draft and Wonder Draft have a lot of third-party graphics options that have been put together. But here, I'll pull up a one of my, just for reference for folks who are watching. Here is part of a map I did with Wonder Draft.
There we go. And how long would you say that's taken you?
This is part of a much larger map, but something like this, now that I'm used to it, an hour at most. But yeah, I can do whole. I think I'm lagging out the stream hardcore with this, so let me get rid of it.
That seems okay here.
But yeah, it's once you get used to putting it all together, it goes by no time at all. I mean, I can do whole world maps. The neat thing about Wonder Draft also is once you draw your world map, you can do zoom ins where you can select a part of the world and it'll blow up the map and keep all of the details that you have. Like, let's say you have a little mountain range that's generally annotated on your map. You could then grab a piece of that, and let's say I want to do, they can do the Dragon Pass, and then you can grab that just by, highlighting an area, and it'll make a separate map for that, and then you can then go in and detail it. So it makes it really easy for, say, doing kingdoms, because you could do the whole world map and just mark the kingdom and maybe its capital, and then you could zoom in around the capital and then do all the surrounding towns and villages and stuff like that if you needed
you can that Incarnate's got that as well. Though it does blur things a little bit, you have to adjust the sizes.
Yeah,
it can look a little wonky.
Wonder Draft is pretty good at not blurring the stuff. It has a bit of an autocorrect on that, but if you don't, I make the mistake of trying to draw my detail map on the world map level, and I often lag the crap out of the map because it gets too detailed.
I'm just trying to find a decent map I've done for my MERP game that I've drawn. Trying to find the best one. I don't want to show you the crap ones because I want to be able to show up and go, look what I can do, rather than look at this crap one I've done. But this one's okay. This one's okay. I should have tidied the stream up a little bit on the one I'm about to show you.
Now,
but,
you were mentioning using the computer while you're at the table. I did start using my laptop while I was at the table because I could keep my digital tools available for pulling different maps and the like, and I could reference that. Also, I could keep pull up on my Google Drive and keep my adventure doc, because I tend to write my adventures as if I was going to write them for publication, just because that's how my brain knows how to read an adventure. So I could have the original doc there in case I forgot and needed to reference something. So without having to have 8 million pieces of paper around.
Yeah. This was a MERP encounter. And this map sufficed for 2 entire sessions. And that's Incarnate, and that probably took me half an hour. But as you can see, I did the stream very roughly. I didn't try to make the stream look pretty or anything.
The stream looks perfectly fine. So I don't know about what you're talking about rough. It looks perfectly fine to me.
I wasn't happy with all the lumpy bits. I wanted to look a little bit smoother.
Streams have lumpy bits.
I do, yes. Thank you, Squirrel Hermit. Thank you, Squirrel Hermit. But
Joe Squirrel.
I'm going to zoom that out a little bit because there is more to it. There we can go. You can now see the bottom of the map as well, with these little burial circles at the bottom where Wosies bury their dead. Again, you can see the bits that the players can't see on there. The darkened bits were not revealed to the players. Again, no grid, Sean. No grid at all. No measuring.
You're a heathen, man. You're a heathen.
I'm a heathen. Yes, I'm a heathen.
Well, you can have a grid without the grid being visible too.
Yeah, you
that's
just,
true.
so long as the tape measure is accurate, then it still works.
I don't want my players doing that. I don't want them thinking like that.
Well, I mean, even if you have a grid, you don't have to have your icons snap to grid.
That's true.
So you can have the grid for general reference, which is generally how I play it. I don't use snap to grid, so my players will move their icons. And a lot of times they may still be counting the grids, but they don't spend a lot of time going 1, 2, 3. They're just like move here to here. And that way I can quickly reference, like if I see that the guy's got a 30-foot movement and he's clearly more than, a massive amount more than 6 squares away from where he started, then I can say, all right, pull it back a bit. You're not going to be able to get there. Or a lot of times I'll say, okay, cool. That's where you were trying to go. This is how far you got.
What's the difference between Dungeon Draft and Wonder Draft?
The difference between Dungeon Draft and Wonder Draft is Dungeon Draft is dungeons, and Wonder Draft is world maps.
Okay.
The neat thing is that both of them have a number of different graphic styles that you can use that are preloaded too. So you can do Dungeon Draft even has a black and white old school map option, which still is lacking a bit because the door icons don't show up quite as well because they don't have the typical old school square in the middle of the line door icon. Their doors fit nicely into the wall, and they look like little graphic doors. However, you can go in and do the old school map and then apply geometrics over it through their draw tool, doing little empty text boxes where you need your doors are, and then it makes it really easy to do secret door, because you just do a text box with an S in it for a secret door. Or an L for a locked door, just like the old school. So it's a very versatile program. The Dungeon Draft is the biggest foible, and I was going to hold on to this until we started talking about problems with online tools, but I guess I might as well mention it here. There's so much that you can do so easily with Dungeon Draft. It's really easy to let the map do all the storytelling for you. And that is a problem I found myself falling into. And Sean is buried behind Lee Baker's comment here again.
Oh yeah, I just think Sean, you have a fine forehead, so show it off.
But it's really easy to let your map do all the storytelling for you,
yes.
and to fall short of what you should be doing as a DM, or a GM. It's like, okay, but you can see there's spider webs everywhere and a bunch of crates on the thing, and rather than describing it, especially considering
it should be an aid rather than a crutch.
Yeah, and for example, it can also lead to a lot of, well, what's that? Because I might draw a room that's very detailed and has skeletons and bone fragments and a shard of a pot and all of this stuff. Next thing you know, my players are like, can I grab that? Is that actually there?
But I think that can actually work for online, because I did do one of my games. I downloaded a very detailed map, and I set up the dynamic lighting. They had their own light sources, and then they just real time explored it, and it was just a matter of they point to something and say, okay, what is this? What am I seeing? And it actually worked really well, because then you can give them that feel of real time exploration. And when something jumped at them, I just say, okay, freeze, everybody stop moving. That's the position they're in when we go into the initiative turn order. So it worked pretty well. If you have a detailed enough map, that can really be an interesting, different way of playing.
Well, the detail maps do serve a great purpose, because they can very much help establish a sense of tone. I mentioned earlier, if they're going down the hall and they can see the red glow coming through the open archway from a room that they can't see, they're like, what the hell is that? And they might not go there. Without you as a GM who's trying to shuffle everything else, you might forget to mention that there's a red glow coming from down the hallway, because you just get lost in the other things you're trying to describe. So that is useful. One nice thing in Dungeon Draft, real quick, is the water depth. When you draw water, anything that's set in the below water layer will actually show up underneath the water with ripples, and you can change the color of the water. So dungeon water can be gray and murky, whereas open water can be blue, and so it's pretty cool.
I'm not seeing any. I've just seen Nerdy Ogre's reply to Bear in chat. I've not seen any comments from Bear.
He hasn't replied. He hasn't said anything since the beginning of the stream, I don't think.
Oh no.
Maybe he's lagging also.
Possibly.
Because I've got your stream and the StreamYard's up, and I don't see any comments from Bear, unless he came in through my stream.
Yeah, no, I don't see any.
Okay. I just wondered if I wasn't seeing Bear's comments.
He's decided that he wants to block all of us.
Oh, possibly. He wants peace.
I doubt that. Quiet. If he was angry at us, he'd let us know. That's his style.
Absolutely. I don't think Bear's the one to keep quiet. Bear speaks his mind.
The angry bear.
Yes. Rawr.
Arr.
No, that's not a bear. That's a mutant enemy.
That is true.
Right. Any more of my merp? Let's have a little look at these. This is the sort of things you can show as well. That's one of the maps from Bree and the Barrow Downs. You can share the wonder of these beautiful maps with your players. Gorgeous, isn't it?
Purdy.
Can we just sit and stare at that? And
no.
Yeah, we can. Anyway, but yes, it's you can get hold of maps very, very quickly and just flick through and scan them in from the PDFs or copy them in from the PDFs and whatever. As you can see, my list of, if you look at the top of the screen here, there's loads of maps there, though some of them aren't very well described. You know how many I've got called untitled. Mad Badger, there's one I made. One I made of a pub called the Mad Badger. That was Incarnate. But I'm very tempted now. I'm very tempted to ditch my Incarnate subscription and go over to Wonderdraft. So that might be a good idea. Right.
Don't dip too much into your Canadian travel funds.
No, that's the issue. I think that's the issue. I have spent a little too much lately. Roll20. It's basically I use JPEG and PNG for map displays. Nothing else. That's all I use. But most map production software will create export as JPEGs and PNGs. It's easy. It's easy. I haven't tried any of the others, so I don't know. I genuinely don't know, Mac. Yeah, Manfred says PNG works best in Roll20. Mad Badger makes you think of the Mad Irishman, Kabuki Kid. Yeah, I've used his sheets. I think we all know the Mad Irishman's sheet repository. I nearly called it a sheet suppository. Then that would have been a bit odd. But right, anybody in chat got any questions to us old nerds regarding anything we've said so far, or shall we just continue with issues we might have had?
Yeah, the issue that it's not live and in person. That's the big one. There was a bit of a learning curve at first. Obviously, learning Roll20, getting used to it. I actually found Albert helped in that because when Roll20 was a little overwhelming, I don't want to learn this. This is too. And then Albert was nice and simple, but the interface was similar enough that would act as sort of a training software. Then when I went back to Roll20, I'm like, oh, a lot of this is similar to Albert. I don't know if that's still true because both have changed, but a couple of years ago. So yeah, getting used to the software for sure. Though there's going to be some rockiness at first, so that's why I say don't try to do too much. Don't be too technically savvy.
Because you've got to remember your players have got to get used to it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And futzing with technology while you're trying to tell a story or run your game will just bog things down, and often players will be sitting there and twiddling their thumbs while you figure shit out. So,
been there, done that many times.
I think there's also a kind of an urge to try and use as much of the technology as you have, and
kitchen sink approach.
I would say honestly, if you're probably going to be better off keeping it as close to tabletop experience as you can, and so a lot of those tools may not be necessary. Yes, dynamic lighting's cool and it can do all the stuff that you literally could not do at a table, but at the same time, you don't have to use that, and it's okay, I guess, to not use it, because I think a lot of people get that toolbox and like, I gotta use it, I gotta use all the cool stuff, but no, you really don't. You'll have a perfectly good game if you don't, and maybe even better, because if you get, like Sean's saying, if you're getting bogged down in trying to use all the tech, then you're probably not running your game. So
Max asked about a size limit here. I was
just typing a response.
All right.
I can't remember the upload size limit. I remember I tried to upload a high-res map and it wouldn't take it. That it didn't give me a note, a little disclaimer saying it can't be above this size, so I just use a smaller resolution. But you're also limited by your account size. Like if you have a free account on Roll20, you can only have a maximum of 100 megabytes worth of data stored on your account.
And that is soon used up.
It gets used up real fast, yeah. Whereas if you even have a plus account, that goes up to 3 gigabytes, which is more than enough, depending on how much you're running, of course.
I've got the cheapest paid account.
Yeah, I've got a plus account as well, which actually, I think it's expired now. I should check my Roll20.
But yes, I was finding when I was using the free account, I was having to remove maps after a session and then upload the maps for whatever other game we were playing. And I was trying to run 2 or 3 different systems, and very, very quickly it was becoming a pain in the ass, especially running Call of Cthulhu with all the handouts.
Yeah, Mac Thompson, you need an account on Roll20. It is free. You don't have to pay for a basic free account, but you're limited in how much you can upload. Now, I applied to be a Roll20 ambassador, and they give you the accounts for free, but they didn't get back to me, so I'm going to slag them. Go Foundry. Go Owlbear Rodeo.
I've not applied for any of that, so I would know nothing about that at all. I just assume they wouldn't want me. And I am going to reply to Manfred's comment here. It's completely off topic. Why don't I like this? This is referring to my video from yesterday. It's because he normalized the idea of a drow living above ground, being good and heroic, and made lots of people want to be that type of character. And I like drow to be monsters.
Disagree, but okay.
I think it's possible. No, I don't disagree. It's like, yeah, keep them as monsters, but don't close off the possibility that more can break from that mold. It's all good.
That's the thing. He's a generally well written exception character, and through him we did get a lot of expansion to the drow. Because keep in mind, most of the Drizzt books were written well before any of the modern WotC shenanigans. And so they had gritty, nasty Menza Baranzan as it's presented in the Drizzt books, not the earlier books where he's part of that adventuring group, but the later books where they kind of go, it's the sort of the prequel series, I think, that talks about how he got into the upper world. They portray the drow as just absolutely just nasty. So it's good writing. I mean, it did while you're talking about how it reinforced that, or presented that as an option, it also heavily built the drow as monsters. So
I don't hate exiles. It is the idea that everyone wants to be one.
Well, that's just people. That's not Drizzt's fault.
Oh, it is. It is. I can be. I can be like that if I want to be. I can be.
Oh yeah,
petty
you can be
minded.
like that if you want to be. Like I said, you can be
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah, I can be. Yeah. I'm not, but I can be. But no, I like the idea. I like the traditional Dark Elf from the Against the Giants series, where they are rare. They are the things of nightmares. They were one of the greatest enemies ever conceived. G3 is one of the best modules written for AD&D, and that is largely because of just how potent those drow are, and how much intrigue you can create with them, and the fact that they were a new monster, a surprise, and the idea they were demons and devils to elves. That was it. In Greyhawk at that time, the drow were only the sort of thing that were talked about to make elven children scared and go to bed at night.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true of just about anything new. Like I feel similar to similar with the Gith Yankee, Gith Zere were always these weird enigmatic planner humanoids with this cool backstory about having revolted from the from the mind flayers and all of that. And then when Planescape came around, they became just a character race. So I get you. I don't have a problem with either, but I can see there is that erosion. Just like tieflings used to be weird, crazy oddities from Planescape, and now they're in 5th edition. They're a race that has had a kingdom of its own at one point. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think anytime something gets introduced into the game, and we're way off topic,
it will eventually be mainstreamed. Yeah.
It'll eventually be mainstreamed. Yeah.
I prefer. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to go back to issues with technology. Now, one of the biggest ones we've had recently is we have alluded to it, and that's with everything slowing down. That's with maps getting too busy, and that is due to the limitations of both the software we're using and our own computers. I mean, Sean's probably the best one to describe just how bad Albert got on occasion. I think you had it worst out of everybody.
Yeah, it was weak. You do something and it just doesn't move. It's like completely frozen. That's a limitation that gets overcome as the computers improve. That's just it. I remember being, even as a kid, playing video games and having my limited computer, which when I got it was good, it was powerful. Then 2 years later, it's obsolete and the games are slowing down. You got to get a new computer, and it's the same here.
But when you're relying on it for the game, it disrupts it.
It's a problem, yeah. But I think Roll20, the way somebody described it to me, see, anybody in the chat can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Roll20 relies on the host computer or something like that, whereas Foundry is a server-based thing. So so long as the individual's got a computer that can match it, then you're good. So I tried Foundry a couple of months ago, and it was lightning fast and very detailed. It was amazing. And I'm tempted to switch over. I just got so much uploaded on Roll20. So I don't want to do all that work again.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of issues with Roll20 on my old computer. I couldn't put too many tokens on a map. I had to drag them on when I wanted them and delete them afterwards, because once I got to more than 15 to 20 tokens, it was really, really slow.
You got to keep an eye on the sub processes, like make sure your tokens don't have vision enabled. If they're NPC tokens, only player characters need vision enabled. If you're doing dynamic lighting, make sure to use the polygons and the straight lines. Don't hand draw the thing. I made that mistake at first. I was hand drawing the dynamic lighting so it would match the contours of caves, but when it's hand drawn, it uses up more processing power because it's trying to process all the angles. Whereas if it's just one straight line, the computer can process that easier. So I learned that early on too. Don't hand draw the dynamic lighting angles.
Well, the limitations of my previous computer are precisely why I never tried dynamic lighting. I just got used to playing without it. And now I'm at the stage where I'd rather have the the players drawing the map instead of me. And personally, I think it feels more old school. I think it feels more old school having the players having this ham-fisted map that might be wrong in places.
Jay Tyler's correcting me here. He says Roll20 is run by Roll20. Fantasy Grounds needs the host DM computer.
Oh, right. Okay. So the limitation, my computer, I think my friends, when they were playing, that might be right. Actually, it was my computer that was slowing down when we were playing their computers, because they're big gamers, and was absolutely fine. But
and they have gaming computers, so there's extra processing power. Yeah. My desktop is a 10-year-old PC with 4 gigabytes of RAM, so things slow down really fast. Right now, I'm on a laptop, but even the laptop is a number of years old. So
I've never used Foundry, and I've never used Fantasy Grounds, so I can't talk about it at the moment. Do you recommend it? Anybody recommend it?
I tried Foundry once, but I liked what I saw.
You liked it?
Yeah.
Manfred, it's meant to take time to draw those maps. That's all part of the game. And you're meant to, DM's meant to allow the players to get them wrong and the players to get lost. Because that's part of old school gaming. The other thing that I think we've all mentioned is when running online, there is the issue that players become over reliant on the pictures you show them. They can be a substitute for the imagination.
It can be. But I guess with anything, the technology will sort of shift the way things happen. So, but on the other side, then you are also giving a clear image too. So there's no mistaking. Something somebody mentioned up thread is, especially when describing maps or terrain, the visual that the DM has in their head is not necessarily the visual they're able to convey. So a picture is worth 1,000 words.
True.
You can show them what you want to be seen. So
I think, though, I've said it a few times on streams before. I think running games online, though, has made me a much better DM than I was beforehand, because it's made me think a lot more about what I say.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, that emphasis is very much on me to paint the image now. The last few Call of Cthulhu adventures I've run, I've used very, very few visuals. And I've done that on purpose, because I think games that rely on an atmosphere, if you've got somebody who has got themselves to the sort of level where they can describe what's going on in at least a semi-competent manner. I'm not going to ever say I'm great at it, but it's worked. I think Call of Cthulhu certainly has a better atmosphere when you're playing it entirely theatre of the mind, when everyone's just listening on a set of headphones. I just accidentally knocked off my noise cancellation. Then that nearly deafened me. And for me, it's improved my DMing. Playing online, playing through Discord, and playing entirely by voice has just made me smoother and more willing to dive into a description, more willing to adapt and improvise, and if anything, think a little bit ahead about what I'm going to say.
I think you're right. But that's also a strength of theater of the mind style in general, not necessarily just doing it online. But online gives you a few more limitations because you are using only your voice, as you say. When I play live, I'm very expressive and I'm big, and I'll move around, I'll get up and all. You can't necessarily do that online because if you're only conveying your voice. So yeah, I don't disagree with that assessment, I guess. Eli?
I wasn't here for the conversation that started that, so
he's just talking about how playing.
I had stepped away.
He's talking about how playing online with audio only has improved his DMing in terms of theater of the mind style and descriptions.
I'd agree with that, because we have been running mostly theater of the mind, even though I do have, I do virtual tabletops because I don't like to fuck around with the tech. So often I'm just like, all right, you have your characters. Here's a handout occasionally, but my DMing style has pretty much, I would say, improved because I can't do the gestures and stuff like that, except for the places where it's suffered, like letting the map tell too much of the story. But
Mac says he's heard me do some sessions. Have you been lurking in Roll20, Mac, listening to me run sessions? Do you have an alter ego? A different name on the Discord, perhaps? I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't aware that people were listening in when I was running games. Anyway, yeah. I mean, when you're playing face to face, you can have facial expressions as well, as you say, and you listen to the French Revolution one. Ah, right, okay, nice one. So you've heard my bad French accent, but
everybody's got a bad French accent.
Yeah, but certainly, I mean, yeah, when you play face to face, I also like to get up and move around. Not all the time because I'm getting old and I creak and I end up sitting down and getting comfortable. But I do like to get up and wander around and use a few facial expressions, which aren't always possible. I mean, I sometimes I haven't really tried it since I've sorted my internet out, but you can play with the camera on and have a few. You don't know whether people are actually paying attention to the visuals in Discord or not. So often that's wasted. But I don't know if my face is all that expressive. You're quite a commanding build, though, aren't you, Sean? You're quite you're a big, tall chap. So
I'm tall. I'm still a little bit. I got spindly arms. I got the middle-aged spread in my belly, but I got spindly arms and legs.
But you also have experience being a performer, so
once upon a time, yes.
Yeah. So yes, it does take that away, but I think it. What I'm saying, I think it really focuses the DM on providing descriptions and makes me think more about what I'm saying, and makes me think more about trying to paint a picture and trying to keep the game flowing, because you become more aware of the pace of the game, I think, online.
That does work. Kind of, there's a double edge to that sword, though, and that's without being able to see other people's faces. It's really easy to just ramble on as a GM and get into your description and your whole character flow and your NPC, because you're not seeing the player's expressions on the other side. You're like, oh, I've gone too far. I should let them talk.
But it comes with practice, though. Pacing it with practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you get into the flow, I mean, I've often found myself, really getting into an NPC and then realizing nobody's doing anything, and then I'm like, all right, so I gotta stop.
I like to light a fire and get them talking and engaging with each other and just sitting back, but it helps if the players are proactive in that regard. It's you do your thing and then they look at you expectantly. It's like, oh crap, what do I do now?
That does bring up one foible of online play, is that without being able to see each other, so even if you are on camera, the awareness of the lag and delay in online play often leads players to not jump to speaking like they would normally and being as fluid. Because I've had my players actually say that to me, like, I didn't want to bark out and like talk over somebody. I'm like, well, nobody's talking, so by all means, please do. But they were waiting because they couldn't see the body language cues or those little micro cues that people give when they're about to say something, like they could around the table.
What I'll sometimes do is just go down the list and say, okay, Claude, what do you want to do? Les, what do you want to do? And that helps, because then it becomes an order. But yeah, definitely in person you get the body language cues, the interaction.
You have to be conscious of that and do that specifically. Like, all right, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Because at the table, as soon as they see you stop talking, very often they're gonna start barking out or maybe even before you're done talking. But so
that is true. That is true. But I said something else I mentioned in terms of the pace is online play is definitely a lot slower. Partly because people do wait sometimes to speak, but you can't talk over each other. You can't have side discussions. But something I've underused in Discord. I find Discord is very good for taking a player to one side and having a very quick discussion. You can do it
send
more
private
easily.
messages. Yeah.
Yeah.
Roll20 allows you to whisper messages to each other as well. So you can do that without leaving the unit.
Yeah,
I think the DM can see everything anyway. But
don't screw up in your whisper messages because then everybody's seeing them.
Yeah.
I tried doing that once before and like, that didn't come out right, did it?
Because I mean, certainly, I mean, with some of the games I've run, I have got a little side Discord channel where I say, "Oh, just come into the other one," and you can just quickly have a quick chat with them, and then both of you jump back, and it actually takes less time to do that than it would if you were face to face.
I keep this handy, and while we're playing, if I need to jump into a private communication, I'll just text them real quick. Because I can be talking and doing this at the same time, because they can multitask really well. And it's like, all right, so
a personal message here for you. Speaking of personal messages, from Pulp Squeeze.
There's a story there. I don't know if I should share it or not, but let's just say I am the chupacabra. But
so, in terms of the platforms we've got experience with so far, do you have personal favorites? If there's one to recommend, a lot of people are saying they like Foundry in chat. I've never used Foundry. Should I give up my Roll20 subscription and lump it all across to Foundry and try and learn it? What are the pros and cons of each one that you've used, and which would you use if you had to?
I've tried Foundry once, and yeah, I'm not going to jump right over. I want to be able to play with it more before I can make a full assessment. I was impressed with one go, but you know how it is. You know, the brochure is always different from the reality. And Owlbear Rodeo is great because it's free and it's fairly easy interface, but it does have its limitations. It slows down and bogs down real fast. So right now I'm content with Roll20. It's got its issues too, but it still works. So, you know, Roll20 is okay enough. And it also depends on the complexity of what you're aiming for. One thing I liked about Foundry is the DM had the Keep on the Borderlands and the Caves of Chaos, and the Caves of Chaos were all on one map, and you could zoom in and out, and that was fantastic. Whereas Roll20, you've got a limited map size. If it makes it too big, it'll slow the system down or not even load it up, and that's a big limitation because I want to be able to put a massive map on Roll20, get the dynamic lighting, like the whole adventure on one map if possible, without it slowing down. Roll20 just doesn't offer that, but I think Foundry does. Foundry, you can put a big map. So, but I'm not familiar enough with them all. But I would say definitely if you're just getting into it, start with Owlbear Rodeo, because it's also a good training ground, because by the time you're sort of used to Owlbear Rodeo, the shift over to Roll20 is actually pretty easy.
So Manfred says keep maps in Roll20 below 100 times 100. Yeah, but sometimes you like a big world map.
Yeah, like a 25 by 25 map is nice and fast. You don't have to worry about issues, but it's small, and you just have to keep switching them over. I do like in Roll20 that you can divide the party. Like I can take players and put 2 players on one map and 2 players on another, and that can actually be fun. It's the players can hear what's happening to each other, but they can't see anything.
I agree with Bear. Like Foundry is definitely a tinkerer's tabletop, because it's, you know, it'll let you do anything, but you have to be willing to build it or go out and buy all these pre-made stuff. And similar thing with Fantasy Grounds. I've not used either of them. I've seen them and watched tutorials and stuff, and it's just too much. It's too much machine for me. You know, it's like, you know, I don't need a Ferrari.
At the end of the day, you're still there to run a game. You're still there to. The focus should still be on your descriptions and the way in which you deal with your players.
I mean, it should tell you a lot. I'm pissed at the changes they made to Owlbear Rodeo. The new Owlbear Rodeo, I think, is overly complicated, and it's the most simple of all of them. So,
yeah. Good evening, Dirty History and Hobbies. Welcome. Guns Are Cool has joined us. Hello, Daniel.
How are you guys doing?
Fine. Daniel, I mean, I don't want to bring. I mean, yeah, I'm going to bring this up straight away. You're one of the people I think most benefits from the nice visual dice roller in Owlbear.
Yes,
that is very true, because it's having to type in all the commands is a pain in the ass in Discord.
Oh yeah, the one system that you run, yeah, it is a pain in the ass.
Yes. So Daniel, if you're running a game for Daniel, get Owlbear open. Use the dice in that because they work.
Yeah, I'm a one finger typer. The only reason I took typing class in school and stayed in the class was because the cute little brunette that sat next to me always wore miniskirts. So I failed typing. So
was that the first of your 4 or 5 wives?
I'm going to say this as well. I'm going to say this as well now. Daniel, don't ever change. We've got to know you. Don't ever change. But no, it's. I get the impression that this was really your first introduction to playing games online when you joined in my Discord server.
Yes, it was.
So, which system do you? I guess you prefer Owlbear, but which system do you tend to prefer?
I prefer Owlbear. I'm getting used to the one you use. I just have to remember to type the D space whatever number 8, 6, 12, 20 exclamation point, double slash, dance around the fire, whatever you got to do.
Turn around 3 times and spit. That's what you got.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to do the hokey pokey to roll a die.
Yeah.
But
well,
that's why I like Owlbear.
But no, that's and John can back me up on this. Almost every weekend, I have to say, where do I gotta go? Where am I
every
going?
Week? Yes.
I am. And the funny thing is, I used to run the inventory for 1.5 districts of 2 different big name stores, and I can't even run my home computer.
I think that shows how computers have become, though. There is a certain expectation that people will have a certain degree of IT literacy nowadays that certainly people of our age group can often struggle with.
Yeah. Well, if I have an issue with my phone, I just toss it to my daughter and say, here, fix it.
I don't know if that's a valid argument, John, because most companies haven't updated their database system for 30 years. So,
I don't work for big companies, do I?
Hey, 20 years ago, I was working for Bank of America, and when I went there, they actually had green screen monochrome dummy terminals, and it was 1990 something. So.
Yeah.
Speak for myself, Luddite. Yeah, I am. I used to work in IT, but I was a dinosaur of the DOS days. I was a master of making boot disks that created the right amount of memory of the 640K to run old DOS games. But beyond that, it was I lost it with Windows.
Oh yeah,
Cheers,
you give me a construction system back in the day, and I'd spend days just chewing it up. But nowadays, I learn this stuff so slow. But I mean, like old adventure construction sets and stuff like that were out on PCs and earlier platforms like the Amiga and stuff. Yeah, but I had all the time in the universe to learn that stuff too. Because what did I have to do? I was 16.
That's like Saturday. We didn't have anybody to run the early session, and that's understandable. It's life. And I would have run something. I just don't know how to work the system. Since we're talking about, technology and stuff, it's a struggle bus for me just to join the game, let alone I didn't want to let anybody down and try and run it and be a total failure. So
I think the thing to do is just, I mean, yeah, obviously there is a that fear and trepidation to start with, but you've just got to dive in and do it. And everyone on our Discord is quite patient, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Dive in and just see how you get on, and we'll all help you. I just want to come back to something that Hyrax has asked earlier.
find the other menu.
Do I use computer tools to ease the use of multiple modifiers and/or tables? I don't have tables for MERP in. What I've got, here's an example. I've got all the sheets, the tables printed out and attached to a piece of card in there. And I keep these on my desk. And then if I just share this screen, this is how the character sheets look in MERP. I'll see if I can zoom that in a little bit. You able to see it a bit better? There we go. This is a sadly deceased character. This was one of the characters that was playing. And if I go to the skills page of the character sheet, you'll see that it's done all the mathematics along the lines for you. And if you're familiar with an attack roll in MERP, click that. If there's any modifiers, you type them in there. So say, for example, some of them are automated, but if, say, for example, this character's got a plus 15 bonus due to positioning, and that will now appear, if I can just, I've just screwed up my, there we go. Look on the right-hand side now. There's the roll. It's come up with a roll of 0. Which, did I type in plus then? That's my fault. I'll do that again. Modifier, 15. I typed in plus. That is one of the bugs. There we go, that's better. If you type in plus, it comes up with a roll of 0. But it shows you there, it comes up with a roll automatically. That's a roll of 105. So I just pick up my table, which is next to me. And if a critical's involved, it's already rolled them on the side down there. So all the modifiers are already in there. And if you hover over it, it tells you where everything's come from. So it does make it easier. It's not perfect, but it does make the whole process considerably easier to what it would normally be when you're rolling percentile dice and having to add the modifiers in your head and whatever. So yeah, it doesn't look up the tables, but it splits it. As Manfred says, it splits the rolls up. The rolls are already there, and I can just cross-reference them with my tables that I've got pre-printed, and it makes the game go a lot quicker. So yes, MERP is better than the table, in my opinion. There you go. There's a MERP character sheet for anyone who hasn't seen one. That was Dernhelm. And poor Dernhelm had his heart pierced by a Dunlending spear.
He didn't need that anyways.
No. So yeah, that's it takes away the worst of the crunch of the adding up and subtracting. You still have to do the cross-referencing, but for me I've got 5 or 6 of these little folders, these little laminated sheets, double-sided, and I just keep them beside me while I play, and it makes the game go a lot quicker. So there we go. There's a tip for running MERP online.
think
And
it's
if you want to put
generally not a bad tip anyways. Just because you're running online doesn't mean you can't still use paper notes. And
absolutely.
It doesn't have to all be on the screen or in your program to be good.
No, but it's combining a combination. It's a combination of being prepared with the tables and having that bit of number crunching help initially. Because while it might not feel too cumbersome on the mind to roll percentile dice, add a couple of 2-digit modifiers and maybe subtract another 2-digit modifier, it's fine for the first half an hour. But an hour into the session, your brain starts to go, oh, mush. So, and that doesn't happen when it does that bit for you.
I mean, it's definitely the sort of thing that computers were made to do anyways. I mean, I feel like back in the day, this is one of those things that, you'd find in the pages of Dragon Magazine where like, here's a program you can program into your computer to do die rolling for MERP. Because they used to have all sorts of like home computing tools in Dragon.
And here's other things that are on the character sheet. There you go. There's a weapon. It's got the fumble thing in already there. Base range is in there. And nice little feature here. You can tick whether it's worn or not. Because that's another thing in MERP. It's quite fiddly because you have to. If you wear something, it counts differently towards your encumbrance. So you can just automatically do that and that. As long as they've got the weight typed in, which Brian didn't have typed in by the looks of things, but it doesn't matter because those remain worn.
Well, you bring up something that's worth talking about here. One advantage of these is when you've got the online character sheets, they can do a lot of the hard work for you.
Yes.
I know when we were doing our AD&D game online, the sheets we used calculated the encumbrance. So it became easier because players didn't have to do it themselves. They just had to enter it in. Suddenly, oh, that's my movement rate. Good. I don't have to do the math. Now, I want my players to do the math because I hate it when they get overly lazy, but at least it's there.
It does have an effect on people's ability to learn the system if the computer is doing so much for them.
Yeah. So
we've been playing 5e for 3 years using D&D Beyond character sheets, and a lot of my players still don't have the basics of their characters.
I get complaints. I got a complaint from one of my players for my 5e game when I told him we were using variant encumbrance. He's like, what's that? he started realizing that, gear weighs you down. It slows you down. I was like, why is my character so slow? I thought I could carry 200 pounds. It's like, you can, but there's increments.
With MERP, though, when they create the characters, I talk them through the various effects of things. So they get the basic idea. It's just they don't need to keep referring to it. But they pick it up as they go along. They just need, as far as I'm concerned, they just need to know they need to roll percentile dice.
Mm-hmm. But it also helps having the button tab in the relevant area. It's like, oh, I'm using my longsword. Click, and then boom, and then it gives you
boom. There you go. Yes,
the target numbers and all that. So that is an advantage.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
I definitely like with D&D Beyond. If I click with my broadsword or my whatever sword I'm using, it'll calculate all the modifiers, and then if I get a critical hit, it automatically rolls double the dice. So it does a lot of the auto coding, which is nice. It also automatically adjusts your movement rate based on your encumbrance if you're using encumbrance, so it's kind of cool. So the character sheet will actually adjust that. So
yeah.
I mean, it's a great tool. I mean, if I pull up any number on there that's calculated, it'll tell me the history of the calculations. Like your armor class, here's where all the parts of it come from, or
I think the key with these tools is to use them, but don't let them completely replace any sort of explanation of the mechanics for the players. Well, I found, certainly with my group that I met through 5th edition, is they would turn up to sessions initially with we don't need paper character sheets, whatever. They got their thing on their phone. I don't know. I handed them out character sheets anyway. I said, no, we'll be using these. And they were like, no, we don't need them. Within 3 or 4 sessions, they were happy using the character sheets because they realized that it actually, as you say, it helped them with the mechanics. They could see how the characters were put together much more readily, and the game actually was quicker, a lot quicker from character sheets and with real dice than it was previously with them trying to fumble around their phones because they didn't fully understand it on the phones. So it should never be used as a replacement. It should be used as a help, a way of storing things, a way of quickly getting maybe a new character in after a character's died or whatever. But it should never be used completely as a replacement for the nuts and bolts.
I will say that
traditional
it's
nuts and bolts.
good for getting new players into a game too.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It can remove a lot of that barrier to entry. You want to, of course, have them learn the game overall, but if all they need to do is sit down and click that button that says attack next to their sword, then they
it's a good way of getting them started. Yes.
Especially if you're trying to introduce them to role-playing games as a whole, they don't even have to really bog down in the mechanics. Then you can just kind of like, okay, you just need to tell me what you need to do, and then when I say do the thing, I can tell you to push the button rather than explain how to do all of the math right then and there. We will get there, hopefully, eventually. But
when I sit down and create the MERP characters with them, and exactly, I mean, you can see Brian hasn't filled in everything on the character sheet because sometimes we did things in a little bit of a hurry, can take time. But when I'm talking them through, I will explain what it means on the character sheet. So say, for example, you see near the top of this one, you've got defensive bonus, essence, RR. I'll explain what they are. Essence, resistance roll. And that shows what stat it is, where the bonus comes from. And I will talk them through that when creating the character sheet. But it'll do the adding up for them, which is helpful. Do any of us hate your player's gameplay? Wondering if he's the only DM that does.
I've certainly come across players that don't gel, and they can be obnoxious. My regular guys are all great, but
can't say I've ever played with anybody that I absolutely hate their gameplay altogether. But I have had to put a player on an office style action plan. So and gave him a verbal, a written, and a final written, and told him like one more and you're out of the campaign because he had some bad habits. But overall, I've been lucky. Even playing with teenagers, I've lucked out. Yeah,
I find it tends if you just sort of run as a DM, you just run the world. Just run the world and react as the characters in the world would react to the player's bad behavior. The consequences will just come out organically, as well as the other players will tend to police them. It's like, okay, guy, cut it out, right? Or when the gendarmes come because he's insulted a noble because he thinks he's being funny, well, guess what? There are going to be consequences. The player might leave the game because he's upset, but that in itself is probably for the better.
Sometimes they won't. Yes. Sometimes they'll learn. Sometimes it goes horribly wrong. Sometimes it creates funny moments, and you just sit back. But like in the case that I mentioned before with the guy to put on the action plan, the other players started going, "No, you don't have that piece of equipment yet. We haven't been able to go shopping for it yet. Stop writing it down on your character sheet."
And I'm just going to bring up the Cthulhu character sheet we mentioned earlier. I'm hoping this is the same one that
if not,
Eli was saying he liked.
There's only like two that I know of. The one that I like, if it's the one I'm thinking about, what's really cool is you can go in and change which version of Call of Cthulhu it's for. Is it for 1920s? Is it for Cthulhu?
Oh, right. It might be a different one. This might be the one you hate then. We shall see.
You can always change.
I can always change, yes. One thing I don't like about Roll20 is it tries to take over my camera and microphone whenever I go into it. But,
well, Manfred says he hates when players roll the dice without telling what they're doing first. Well, then the dice rolls don't count. Unless you've called for it, it's an invalid roll. I don't care if they got a natural 20. It's like, well, sorry.
Mac Thompson, the link to that one, it's in the Roll20 system. I'll pull my Roll20 up and see if I can show you at least. It's just one of the drop downs for the options for Call of Cthulhu character sheet. But I will pull mine up. I'll show you mine if you show me yours, John. But
is this
it's
one
that
you
kind of
use?
stream, is it?
Is it? Well, we got our cameras on still. So. I believe that is the same one. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that is not, I mean, it takes a bit of getting used to on this one, but if I just,
I mean, it might not be the same. Let me check.
So if I'm going to do a roll, for example, on mechanical repair, there we go. We've seen it appear on the light.
You're using the inferior sheet.
Am I? Oh.
Let me show you the superior sheet.
Oh, okay. I like this sheet.
You'll like this one better.
Okay.
And if not, well, then you're wrong.
All
right. So
RW Bishop asks, is tech add to the game? Can it complement the actual experience, or are we talking about a tool or device that enables?
Ooh.
I mean, I think yes to all of that. I mean, anything's a tool. It can be used to enhance, but it can also overdo it. We were talking about, when I first started running Roll20 at the beginning, and I tried to do so much. I tried to have sound effects and musical cues, and it was like, and it just ultimately detracts. So I pulled it back and kept it more simple. So it can be a boon or a curse either way.
All right. So there's the one that I use, John.
Okay.
This one has the purple dice. If you click on that, it automatically rolls with bonus dice. And if you hit the green die, it automatically rolls with a penalty die. And the nice thing is when you roll the purple die, it will show you a bracket for like 1, 2, or 2 bonus dice. Also, it has a nice matrix for equipment and all of that. And
it does look simpler, actually.
And here's one of the nice things. If you go into the little tab at the top here, where up in the top corner, where is it that I'm going for this? Sorry. Let me pull up Clark Winfield. If I go into the edit, where is it that I'm looking for it? Dang it. Here, little gear. It's so hard to find sometimes. There's a little gear at the top of the investigator information window.
Right.
If I click that, we get a drop down with the era of Call of Cthulhu that you're using.
Going to have to change.
Which it has like Invictus, it has Dark Ages, it has Down Darker Trails, which is the Old West one, 1920s modern, space exploration, post-apocalyptic. And what each of those does is it adjusts the default skills. So it's really cool. The only thing that it doesn't seem to have updated is Kid Cthulhu, which is a cool option, but
so did you say Kid Cthulhu?
Yeah, there's one that's effectively called Call of Kid Cthulhu. There was a module that was a scenario that was done that can be played both with standard Call of Cthulhu rules or in a PG version. We're playing kid characters. In both cases, you're playing kid characters, but the Kid Cthulhu rules simplify some of the skill things. Like instead of so all of the skullduggery type skills are lumped under like playing with matches, and like all of the physical skills are lumped under like gym class and stuff like that. So it's a really simple way to either teach people how to play Call of Cthulhu or to have a lighter romp through the Cthulhu universe if you wanted to.
I've just shown the bonus and penalty. I mean, the bonus and penalty one isn't complicated on this one either. You just click on bonus and penalty underneath the first roll.
Yeah, well, the nice thing is with the purple and green die that are on that one sheet, you just have to click it. You don't have to do any sort of selection. You just click it. And then over in the right-hand bracket, or in the right-hand area where the die roll comes up, it'll have the standard die roll, +1 bonus die, +2 bonus die, and it'll show you what margin of success you got in each one. I just, in fact, have my players almost always just hit the purple die by default because it'll still give me the die roll results for no bonus die. So it's real quick and easy to use on the fly.
Have a little look at the background of this particular character. This was the layabout in the group. Treasured possessions is weed tin. Phobias and manias, hard work. Traits, lazy and more than a little selfish. Ideology and beliefs. Bob Marley had it all sorted out.
So you've made that character for me, basically.
Yeah, he was the hippie waster type. But
all right, I do need to bounce out of here, guys.
all right.
Unfortunately, my time is at an end. Later, folks.
Right. We'll chat with you
All
soon.
right, cheers. See ya. See ya.
I mean, there's what, 40 minutes left anyway before you pumpkin?
Yeah. So I think we've delved into technology pretty well there, because we've been using we basically showed what we've been using, how we've been using it. Cthulhu sheets, MERP sheets. We haven't shown any of our OSE sheets, have we, at all?
It's the same, more or less the
It's
same
the same
idea.
sort of stuff. Yeah.
Macros and whatnot that'll allow you to just sort of track things a little easier. Yeah, it's good. I mean, the great thing about it, I mean, role-playing games, in my opinion, are done best live, full stop.
Yes.
But there are, of course, the advantages of being able to play online. We can play remotely. Like you're in England, I'm in Canada. We can play together. My fifth ed group is online because it was meant to be all my remote friends who can't join. Over time, it morphed. Now there's only 2 of them that are remote. The couple of the others are guys from my live game anyway. So that's kind of funny how that worked out. But
when we play on a Saturday, there's me in Britain. There's Manfred in Germany, No Saurian in Mexico. There's you in Canada. There's Daniel in Pennsylvania, and there's no way we'd be playing any other way, is there?
Really, yeah. So that's one of the major advantages is the breadth of people you can meet by playing online. It's a different experience than playing live, but there are advantages. So that's great. Now, the better the technology gets, the smoother it can become, then we can really deepen the experience.
And the biggest advantage for me is it's easier to find like-minded gamers.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a face-to-face game, it can be quite difficult to find people who want to play the game that you want to play in the style you want to play it. Online, you can just splurge it out there. This is the game we're playing. Are there any other fellow old gits who want to join in?
Right. And even then there's some separating of the wheat from the chaff. You will always find people who don't quite align with the way you play, but it is easier. It's a bigger pool.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
100% biggest advantage, the reach.
Yes, definitely. Daniel out in the sticks. Yeah, he is. I mean, for example, Daniel, by watching the channel, has got back into playing the game, plays the games with us of a weekend, has got his family into playing the game with him as a result. So, and he lives in a community of about 2,000 or something in Pennsylvania, rural Pennsylvania. He wouldn't find that by, even if he went around knocking on all the doors of his neighborhood, he wouldn't find what he
And the thing is, the people that I've found in my town, the game, they're also into, I don't want you to get demonetized. Not good thing. And I don't want to hang out with them.
Exactly.
So the only people I found are, I'm like, you're not my crowd.
Yeah.
They do other stuff.
And that's partly my point. In that by all getting involved in the same sort of channels and the same sort of Discord and your chat in there, we know pretty much straight away, if somebody joins my Discord, they're likely to have found it through one of Sean's videos, one of my videos, one of Elfbait's videos. And immediately that means they've been drawn in by somebody talking about the type of gaming that they like. So they're more likely to gel.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about getting used to playing online. And that's it. So I think we've got to be, we've put together a good group. We get on with each other. We have an entertaining Saturday, and with a variety of people, and people of a variety of ages as well. The youngest who's played Dark Knight, mid-20s.
DK, I think he's 30.
Is DK 30? I thought he was mid.
I think he mentioned
mid-late
something
20s.
about either. Is he 32?
I think, yeah.
I thought he was about 26, 27. I know Iman's 29, about to turn 30. No Saurian's still in his. No Saurian's still in his 30s. Gingerbeard's only just turning 40. These are people of different ages, but what matters is we've got the same sort of mindset in terms of playing.
Yep.
But who's the oldest? Who's the oldest of our gamers? Is it Gene?
I'm not sure.
Don't know how old Gene is.
I'm 53.
I'm not sure.
Of course, we're outing everybody's age now.
I thought Gene said he was 50, 55, 56-ish. So 57. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
He's outed himself, so it's okay.
You're the oldest Gene. But no, we've got a pleasant group of people who are there specifically to play a game, and that's great. And that is the biggest like plus point of the technology.
Yeah.
So there you go. The technology is there. Get used to it. Embrace it.
We have the technology.
And we're here to help if you are nervous, if you have issues. Come and join us and play. That is what is most important. Right. Can we talk nonsense for the next 45 minutes?
Nonsense is good. I like nonsense.
Come on, tell us more about this con. Tell us more about your con games and stuff. Who was at your con table that we know?
General Nutt and his daughter.
Okay.
Nobody else that we would know that hangs around a circle. One of my live players came and sat at my table. I was like, "You're here at an event with a million other things to try, and you come to my table." But
didn't Slan play with you at all?
He did not. No. We sat and chatted, but he didn't. We didn't. We played in Dungeon Minister's game together, but he didn't play at my tables.
But the con we're talking about was Clericon. It was run by the Dungeon Minister. If you haven't found his channel yet, do check it out. He comes across as a really nice, approachable guy. Knows his stuff, loves his gaming, and he set up a con in his home village which is near Toronto. And yeah, Sean's from Toronto, Slan's from Montreal, Nutty's from Toronto as well, and you all went there and met up, played games, and it all the feedback I've seen has been universally positive about how enjoyable, how laid back it was, how non-stressful it was. Maybe not for Dungeon Minister who had the issue of running it all by himself.
He was running around,
but yeah.
No, it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. It was just the right size. You know, he has a specific venue that's attached to his church, and I think he knew what his limits were. So he probably had a cutoff point, or was just a little below the cutoff point. So it was big enough that there was variety. It was small enough that it was intimate. We all got to chat and interact. There was an opening feast. We all dined on pork actually, but yeah, it was a ham dinner, but it was good times. And then the Dungeon Minister ran the opening game to kick it off. He had 10 of us join. He didn't put a cap on it, so he didn't know how many he would get, but he ended up getting 10 players. Then the Saturday was the main event. People were running tables. Bandits Keep. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that channel. Daniel from Bandits Keep drove up from New York. And there's another channel called Hexed Press. He came with Daniel. So that was great. Obviously, Slan, who now has a channel, Grumpy Old Slan, check him out. Slan had come from Montreal, so I got to meet him in person. And who else? Like I said, General Nut, who's a regular on around here sometimes, brought his daughter, and they both played. Yeah, it was just good. It was just meeting people we hadn't met in person. I'd already met the Dungeon Minister a couple of times, but his family was there. His son joined in my game as well. Right before the day of we're starting, Aaron asked me, he's like, my son really wants to sit in on your game. Is you have room for one more? I'm like, all right, let's make it 8 now, I guess.
Well, you know my leanings when it comes to Call of Cthulhu games. Do you think it'd be a suitable con for me to run a game of Call of Cthulhu there?
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I don't think he would mind, so long as obviously you kept the profanity down. I know I'm gonna be roasting a little bit because I have a foul mouth and a few words slipped out, but I don't think it'd be inappropriate. I'd say check with Aaron for sure. I mean, hell, I won the Call of Cthulhu cookbook on the trivia contest. So there's already a Call of Cthulhu presence. I don't think anybody ran. It was all mainly old school stuff. Somebody ran a World War II themed scenario. I think it was one of the Dungeon Minister's sons. So no, it was fun. I suspect he's going to run it again. I think he's leaning towards that. He's not confirmed it yet, but I imagine it'll grow because already there's more people who couldn't come this year who definitely said they'll come next year. So he might need to get a bigger venue.
I would run a more Cthulhu, a more con-friendly scenario than the one I ran you through, for example. Because Forget Me Not is not a scenario that I would run at a con.
I would definitely say talk to him, but I can't imagine it'd be a problem, especially if you're upfront about the content. I mean, there was all adults there. There was maybe a handful of children, 3 of them being Dungeon Minister's kids, but there were some others. So yeah, it's all about gaming and fun and friendliness. Call of Cthulhu is technically old school. It was out in the 70s, right? Or early 80s.
Very early 80s when it first came out. But I'm saying, I think that's the game I'm best at running. So I think I'd be most confident at running that at a con than other games. I think I'll leave the OSE to the likes of yourself. But
so yeah, no, it was fun. Definitely recommend. It was fun and friendly. They had a silent auction and a cabinet of curiosities, which basically Cabinet of Curiosities is where you can put stuff for fixed price sale, and then the silent auction is if you wanted people to bid on it.
One thing I did notice, the only price I heard called out on any of the videos was that 25 Canadian dollars for that copy of Oriental Adventures.
Oh, you mean this?
Oh, you bought it
right here? No, I didn't buy it. It was mine. I was trying to sell it.
It didn't sell.
No, it didn't.
I thought Dungeon Delver put a bid on it.
Dungeon Delver. Well, he wanted it. He was supposed to reach out to me if he I'll send it to him. But yeah, I put that in I had a bunch of extra books. General Nut took a bunch of AD&D core volumes from me. I put them up, and an OD&D box set I put up.
Did that sell?
Oh yeah, that sold. It was still sealed. It was still shrink wrapped. So I figured that would go, even though it was.
I saw that you put a price of only 25 Canadian dollars. That's cheaper than you'll find it on eBay nowadays.
It is. It's also the book isn't exactly in collectible condition. It's marked up on the inside. There's coffee stains. The binding is still good, but it's got some wear. It's a play copy. It's not a collector's copy. So
that doesn't matter. It's still a sensible price, rather than some of the nonsense we see them listed for. So I like that. I saw that price. I thought, well, that's sensible. These are people who aren't trying to fleece other gamers, which is what I know. When I was at the UK Games Expo during the summer, I was finding box sets priced up for £100 that I myself had bought on eBay 2 years earlier for £10. It's like it was ridiculous.
Well, I put up a lot, so it was 4. It was the AD&D First Ed Players, DMG, Monster Manual 2. I put that up on auction for 100, so basically $25 a piece. General Nut took that, and the big seller was the box set, the sealed OD&D wood grain box set. That one I put at 400 because it was still sealed. It's a collector's.
Yeah.
But I was trying to find, like you say, a reasonable price. Like I've seen it go for 800 on eBay, but I've seen it listed for 800 on eBay. It doesn't go for that. That's the other thing you got to look at is people are asking way too much.
Yes, yes.
But
There is very much a difference between asking price and the actual price that they sell for. I mean, when I say, for example, I've seen Up the Garden Path ST1 sell for £3,000. That was a proper auction. It auctioned up to something like £3,250, which means people were making those bids on it. It wasn't initially listed for that. It was initially listed for a lot less, but that's what it auctioned up to. But so that is a genuine value. Gene, yes, of course you can. I'll do that if you want. Absolutely, absolutely.
I think Richard is asking how many players were at my table. I'm assuming he's asking me. I ended up having 8 at my table. I wanted a cap at 6. But due to a clerical error, there were 7 signed up, and then Aaron asked me if he could add in his son as well. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I've got 8. It was interesting. I cap at 6 for a reason. I could run larger sessions of people I know, but when you're running for strangers, it's a whole different thing.
I'd love to run a big session. I really would. Really would.
With disciplined players and the players I've run 13-person sessions, but those are players I know. There's 8 players who are all stranger. Well, one wasn't a stranger. One was somebody that I've been gaming with for 15 years, but everybody else was brand new to me. So you never know what to expect.
Biggest I've ever run at a table, I think, is 7 on Discord 6. But I'd go for more. Good evening, Hungar.
Hello, Hungar.
Good evening. How are you doing, young man? Are you well?
He's up from his nap. I was watching his stream earlier. He went down for a nap, so I assume you're back from your nap.
I'm not sure. He's logged in on.
Oh, he's in my channel. Yeah, so the stream yards won't work on my channel. You'll have to.
But it's been blocking it on mine in recent ones because I don't think it doesn't like all capitals. Kick them in the nuts, and it looks like it's filtering it again. It looks like they've updated the filters, which filter things out in chat, which is really annoying. So I have it set to nothing censored, and yet it still censors things.
Big Brother is watching.
Big Brother is indeed watching. So I need to change the Hungar message. I really do. Don't need to change the Daniel message though.
Just going back to ClareCon for a second, something else that Aaron did, which was actually kind of neat, was he gave us a walking tour of Glenn Williams. So for a little bit of history, real life history, as well as as it pertains to how he adapted Glenn Williams for his in-game world, right? Because he set his in-game world based on the town of Glenn Williams. But Glenn Williams has historical significance in Canada. Like it was Timothy Eaton, who's a major entrepreneur a couple of 100 years ago, founded Eaton's, which is a big chain company, the Eaton Center and all that. He got his first job in Glenn Williams. So that was kind of fun. Strolling around.
Did you get any strange looks? I mean, the local priest leading a big gang of nerds around?
Not at all. Everybody knew him.
So I guess everyone knows what he's like.
Pretty much.
There you go. But no, if you haven't encountered Dungeon Minister's channel, if you're in chat at the moment, then check it out, because he just comes across as being one of the most genuine people. He just seems to enjoy what he does.
He does. He loves it, and he's very gracious to us too. While we were streaming here, he just sent me a thank you message for participating, and like he was treating us like celebrities. Right? He's like, yeah, dude, you're doing us a favor. This is great. So there's definitely a high level of humility.
Yeah. His channel's bigger than ours, though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It's like, and one of his videos, he talks about how like they don't watch TV and so they watch YouTube. Even as a family, they watch our channels, and to him, it's like having the TV stars come to his event. I'm like, yeah, but you're bigger than us, so
Yeah, we're all a similar size. I mean, I think we're similar size. Now.
And there's
You're
General
growing
Nut. We were
faster.
just talking about you, General Nut. Silence.
So what's General Nut like in the flesh?
Oh, he's a good guy. I enjoy gaming with him. He really gets into his characters. Like he will commit to his choices, which is great in a role playing game. Like
Yeah, he does. He does when playing on Discord as well.
I've only been 1 or 2 with him on Discord early on, but seeing somebody and interacting in person gives you an idea of the dynamic, which is great.
Good. And I see you've signed up for the games this weekend as well, Nutty. So good to have you back and with us. Right. If you're wanting to talk about technology and stuff, we've already hammered it out and we've already explained why it's really quite a good thing now, having been a bit of a Luddite to begin with. Embracing it, allowing people to get together. We've dispensed tips for running things smoother. We've explained issues we've had, a few ways of avoiding those issues. But if you want to go back and check the stream, we're in the talking nonsense phase now. If anyone else would like to join us and talk some nonsense for the last half an hour, you're more than welcome. The link is in the Discord. Anybody's welcome to pop in, come and say hello, and just and if you want to talk about your use of technology in the games, you're welcome to come in and do that. This is the part of the stream where we kill half an hour just talking rubbish.
Talking rubbish.
Yes. So did you have any interesting accents for them, Sean?
I attempted my Scottish. I'm way out of practice with my Scottish on the Friday, as my dwarf went with the cliche. Had a little bit of a Slavic accent for Caldwell, and I think that was it. I think I might have slipped in a Cockney there at one point, but that was about it.
A white mate.
Right.
A white governor.
It's easy to lose them if you don't practice them. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, as you know, my accents go all over the place. My French accent when running the Orient Express is terrible. It's meant to be. It's meant to sound like Jean Cleese in Monty Python. But hey ho.
It's just wafer thin.
Mint. Yes, that's why I have this stupid accent. I'm French. The last adventure I ran was up in Yorkshire. Tourists, fully booked. We're in bloody Yorkshire. It's January. You don't get any bloody tourists up in Yorkshire at this time of year. That was basically it. Here we go.
Oh,
Hungar. How are you doing?
You know him and you love him.
Hungar.
Hungar.
Do you fancy going to Clericon next year?
If I could, I can get my passport.
It's a bit of a hike for you. Probably what, a 3-day drive?
Yeah, I would fly. I'd have to fly, but
yeah. So yeah, I mean, the one thing that has sealed it for me, I think, for going is when I was under the impression it might cost £800 to £1,000 to fly, but because he runs it out of season, it's October, November time. Flights can be £300 or £400, and I can do that.
Is that a round trip or is that one way?
That's a return.
Okay, so
a round trip.
Yeah.
I mean, a single flight across there is about 300. And if I want to be able to come back again, it's about 350. Oh, wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Might have to get that booked. Where is it, Mac? It's not Ontario, Toronto.
Yeah, well,
Toronto.
Toronto's in Ontario, so
Yeah, I get confused.
yeah, it's a little northwest of Toronto, probably about a 45-minute drive. I got there in an hour from where I live, and I live on eastern side of Toronto, and Glen Williams is northwest of Toronto. So it's not too bad. No, you add traffic into that, and it's a 6-hour drive, but that's a whole other matter.
It looked like a lot of fun. I watched some of the streams, and it just, and who doesn't love the Dungeon Minister?
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
It's hard not to like him. He is a very likable person.
Exactly. He's like one of my favorite YouTubers. It's like he came on my show one time, like in the chat, like a couple of times. And when he shows up, I always try to like calm things, make things a little more PG. You know what I mean? But he came into the chat, and I was like, "Oh shit, the Dungeon Minister's on my show." It's like you're talking about he was treating you guys like a celebrity, and it's like he's the celebrity.
He's the celebrity. Yeah.
He's the celebrity.
Mac Thompson, east of Sarnia, yes, but about 3.5, 4 hours east. But Sarnia / Detroit, that area is good to cross the border if you're coming, because then the highway will take you right there. The 401 will take you right in a straight line. So,
how far is it away from Detroit?
About a 4-hour drive.
So it'd be about a 6-hour drive for me.
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, so I'm in Tennessee.
James coming from Montreal. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd hop on Tennessee and hop on 75 and just go straight up north to Detroit.
Yeah, no.
There in Detroit. I've been to Canada through Detroit a dozen times.
Yeah, it's very easy from Detroit because you just go through Windsor and then you're on the 401, so that'll take you right into Toronto.
Yeah, but that was before you needed a passport across the Canadian border, which is stupid.
Right. Well, blame your government, not ours.
Oh, I blame my government for a lot of things. Don't worry.
And anyway, Sean, you've I'm a little bit disappointed. I did mention in Discord the other day. You won the D&D trivia quiz.
I did the Necronom Num Num.
Do you remember any of the questions?
No, not even a one. I honestly, I only scored 14 out of 30 of them, and a lot of it was Greyhawk lore based, which I know fuck all about. But
I can't say I know a lot about Greyhawk.
There were some rules questions. There were some questions that I thought I knew. Like one was, what type of demon is the Merilith? And I guessed type 6, and then it was type 5.
Type 5.
Yeah,
I'd have got that one right. Type 5.
So things like that. But for the most part, yeah, no, I was surprised, and even Aaron had told me before the stream. He'd tallied it up, and I said, and then before I could even ask, he's like, "No, you didn't win." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And then when he announced the winner had 14 of 30, I'm like, "Oof, how bad did I do?" And then he announced it was me who got the 14 of 30, and I'm like, "What? You lied?" I said, "No, you told me I didn't win." He says, "Well, I lied." And well, baby lies make baby Jesus cry. He's like, "Well, they make the DM laugh." That was pretty.
I need to send him a message and ask him to. I'd like to have a go at answering those questions.
Yeah, I'm sure he because he printed them up, so I'm sure he's got them. Dungeon Delver donated a lot of the questions and all the AD&D questions, and he did the Beckme questions. It was a mix of the two.
But now you know I'd get the Type 5 demon one right.
There we go. Bear's giving you $5 to help the Yog to Canada fund.
That's right. And Manfred, I live in East Tennessee, about 30 minutes outside of Knoxville.
Cheers, Bear. Cheers, Bear. Yeah.
Bear's top-notch people.
I mentioned it last night to my wife. I said, I might get to Canada next year. And her reply was, okay, see ya.
You need to come over to America next year and go to VentureCon.
What time of year is that?
It's around November, I think.
It was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
No, I'm not 100% sure. I've looked at it like 2 or 3 times, but I forget everything because I don't really pay attention.
Well, if they're close enough in proximity, then you might be able, depending on how long you're able to stay, John, you might be able to do both.
Do both. That would be perfect.
But that would really they would have to be back-to-back weekends in order to make it happen, make it practical.
Yeah.
But I'm actually thinking about driving out to that. I think that's in like Wisconsin.
VentureCon? No, I was thinking Biggest Geekus. Biggest Geekus is just past the
Biggest Geekus is right up there near Detroit. That would be fun to be there. That'd be fun to go to also.
Yeah. I mean, if there are 2 consecutive weekends, I might be able to wangle that with work. I have already forewarned my work colleague that she's going to have to cover me for a week around this time next year. And she said, yeah, fine. So, yes. I'll see you there then, Bear. See you there.
Get a big group photo. Well, we got a group photo of us, of me, Slan, Tale of the Manticore, Daniel from Bandits Keep, Hex Press, and the Dungeon Minister. We got a group picture of that. But oh my God, if all the channels came up, we can get a really epic shot.
Like Biggest Geekus, like if you're going Geek and Sean, you're going to be there, and freaking Bear's talking about it now. I might just have to get my dang passport and drive up to Canada.
Well, you've got a year. How long does it take to get a passport in the U.S.? How, on average? A couple months?
Yeah,
same here. If we do have a group shot though, you've got to make sure I'm in the foreground so you don't all completely dwarf me.
You'll stand between me and Bear.
You guys can put me in the back where nobody can see me.
I've already met Gingerbeard, and he's 6 inches, 7 inches taller than me.
How tall are you?
5'5.5".
See, I'm only 5'8".
So you're tall.
Both Bear and I are 6'3". So.
Yeah, you guys are giants, freaking Canadian giants. Yeah, you can get on my shoulders.
Yeah.
And then we'd be taller than everybody.
Given your medical conditions, it might be safer for you to get on my shoulders.
I am strong like ox.
But your body doesn't let you do that, does it? Okay.
No, it doesn't let me do nothing. Thanks a lot for reminding me.
No, I'm sorry. I'll have to lift you up then. I could do that.
Well, we could do other stuff, like if what you're coming for a week, you wouldn't just be coming for the weekend kind of thing. Well, like I'll try to arrange my games, my usual table games within that time frame, so you can sit in. We have the old geek guesting in live on the OSE game.
Jeez, General Nut. General Nut's 5'10", and he was like almost the shortest person there.
How tall is Slan then? Is Slan quite tall?
No, not really. He's not short, but I think in that 5'10" range, I would guess. He can correct us if he's listening, or if he checks in later. But I think around that. I wasn't going around with a tape measure marking people. I just associate.
About 6 foot, is what General Nut was saying.
Yeah. Look, I've had to put up with being short all my life, so I'm somewhat obsessed with my lack of height.
Yeah, I could have been really tall if I hadn't stopped growing.
Yeah.
Usually works that way. Yeah.
I could have been really tall. My grandfather was like 6'3". All of his brothers were like 6 foot. My grandmother was 4'9", 5 foot tops. I got a picture of her. I got a picture of him, and she's sitting on his lap, and she looks tiny. She looks like a ventriloquist dummy. She's so small.
The tallest one in our household is my daughter. She's about 5'7". She towers over my wife. My wife's about 5'1".
Well, you'd want a shorter wife, wouldn't
you?
You'd want your wife to be shorter than you.
Yeah, she's about 5'1", my missus. Yeah. Diddy. In fact, I'm now third in line because my lad has just overtaken me. He's just hit about 5'6".
What time is your game on this weekend?
We start them at 2 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time and 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. 2 games.
Saturday?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's 9 a.m. for us.
Yeah.
For the first one.
I had to back out of the late session. I get to go hunting with my brother-in-law.
Oh, right.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe one of us will come out of the woods.
Maybe.
Will it be like the story of William Rufus, William II of England, a mysterious arrow shot by an unknown hand?
Correct. Yes.
Yes, Bear. Anyone can run games on my Discord. Just let me know. Just let me know if you want to run a game on my Discord at any other time that suits you. You can do that. It's there to be used.
I'm going to try to make it this Saturday if I'm awake at 9 a.m. if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I think Gene's running that one.
Yeah, Gene's running that one. I'll be playing.
I don't care who's running it. I get to hang out with some buddies from YouTube and play a game.
Cool.
I'm likely to attend. I'm free this weekend, unless I'm in Boston. There's a very slim, minuscule chance I'm gonna go do a surprise visit to Boston. There's a card tournament there. I just don't have a ride. So, but if one of the carloads of people going has one extra spot, I'm probably gonna join.
Hell yeah! What kind of games?
You ever hear of Overpower?
No.
It was a superhero-based card game.
The Marvel game, right?
Yeah, Marvel, DC, and Image. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, we have a little Overpower renaissance we've had going on for the past 10 years. A bunch of us who loved it back in the 90s, and it's like, well, let's keep this game alive. And now there's a sort of a little tournament circuit. This one's worth a grand US, so it's like, I can risk it.
Yeah.
But it's not worth it to me if I have to rent a car and go solo. But if I'm sharing the gas with 5 other people, then
it's easier.
And I have friends in Boston that I can bunk with, so I don't have to worry about accommodation.
Yeah, it'd be like a lot easier for me if anybody from Tennessee up to Canada wanted to go to
so rope James
Paracon and pick them up on the way.
Rope James into it. There you go.
James is in Florida. James is 12 hours south of me.
Well, so he's your big brother. What's 12 hours between brothers?
He don't drive. I'd have to do all the driving. Like if I pick people up on the way there, or if he flew up here, I'd pick him up at the airport, and we'd go. But pick up like say Squirrel Hermit wanted to go. He's just north of my parents.
Yeah, Squirrel Hermit's not far. He'd be about a 6-hour drive, I think.
So I was like, Squirrel, hop in, let's go.
Squirrel's another one who said he wanted to come to Claricon next year as well.
Yeah, I think he mentioned it.
I've talked to Squirrel about it. Is like it would just be so cool, even if we didn't have a con. Just everybody, from YouTube in the area that could make it, just show up for, a weekend to hang out, go out to dinner, just goof off, go see, tourist stuff. Like a con would be much better, though. I'd love to show up and play some games.
Eagle Riders asked if there's a link. Whose stream is he coming on? Is he on?
I think she's in mine.
Oh right. Oh, it's a she. Sorry. Right. Welcome, Eagle Rider. You're watching through Hungar's stream. So I don't know if you're seeing all the chat, because I think most of the chat will be happening in mine, but I can see your comments. So hello, welcome. I can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something. I completely forgotten. Oh, this weekend's game, Hungar, it's OSE. I guess you're familiar with OSE.
Yeah.
Yes.
I am.
So how easy it is to make characters.
OSE.
You know how easy it is to make characters for OSE.
Oh, that Hungar guy, he just did a milestone. Member for 11 months.
Oh, you're the third longest member of my channel, Hungar. The third longest.
I think you're like one of the very first people that I subscribed to.
Thank you. You're the first 2 to sign up to my channel in terms of becoming members were Halakar and General Nut. They just about. And then you, yes. And there was one other person around your time as well who's still a member. I'm useless at remembering names. Sorry, whoever that is. I'll find it out. But thank you, Hungar. You're a good.
Yeah, I think you were nearing your 1 year, or not 1 year, your 1,000. No, your 1 year when I found you. Because I started up in March of last year, and I think I found you in late March, early April.
Right.
I don't know when I started. It's been almost a year. No, it's been about a year. It's been about a year because one of the first, before I started doing a lot of videos, I went on Legion of Myth's Veterans Day 24-hour stream.
Right.
And that's where the Hungar shirt came from Big Bad RPG. Oh, and
I remember seeing you in chat a lot before you actually started doing your own videos and stuff.
Yeah, did you see that I have my own miniature now?
I heard you've got a miniature.
And it's free free STL. So you
I haven't got a printer, but I haven't got a printer, a 3D printer. But if you've got one to show, then you're more than welcome to show it.
Let me see. I would have to.
I'll get rid of my Call of Cthulhu thing from here now.
Let me see. I need to go here. I posted it on James's Discord, and if you want, I'll post the link on yours.
Okay.
For the STL,
and we can maybe show it on the stream. Slam it in me Discord.
We got too many Discords. Okay, just put it in general chat.
Hopefully it's a cheap fix, Manfred. The engine light can be a pain in the backside. Mine's flickering on and off occasionally. It's the turbo that's gone on my Hyundai.
There you go. Put it in general chat on Discord.
Oh, cool. Right. Okay. I'm going to open it in browser. And then I'm going to get that shared. So let's go back to my StreamYard. I need to move it to another window, don't I?
What's up with their name? And April next year, I'm gonna have a paint Hungar tourney, and
cool.
The mini I like the best gets a free Hungar shirt, your choice.
So the Hungar miniature will be appearing any moment. Once gone, I'm quite slow, so do bear with me.
Hey, we're old.
There we go. That is Hungar the Starvarian.
It's part Conan, part Santa, part Doc Jones.
I think that's
I
think
I have an Order the Stick mini that looks exactly like that.
A nerd's nerd made that. I was like, a nerd's nerd, you do that 3D printing stuff and you make, STLs. Make a Hungar the Starvarian figure. Yeah, jokingly, but it's so cool that she did. And, like a week later, she does a video with Hungar the Starvarian. And the video that she does is my new opening to my show.
Excellent.
It's like in a time of let me take you to a time of high cholesterol.
So did she have a topless photo of you to work from for those muscles? Because they're very impressive.
No, she just had the Hungar the Starvarian picture, and she's on my show. If she's not on my show, she's in the chat every time. She's like
I've seen. I mean, I've caught up. I do catch up back on the streams from time to time. And I have heard her speak on there, and
she scored World War II the other day on tanks and stuff. It was great, and I just egged them on. But yeah, she's just a top-notch cool person. She really is.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
And I have no idea. I mean, I seen her once on Shadow and Sun's show. And now I'm seeing her, and she's and her voice is just great.
Yeah.
For it's like she's just cool people, and she
I
made
said,
the environment.
she's
My brother's
she-
printing up like a bigger one, like an 8-inch one for my father, and painting it up for him because our dad wants it.
And I like what she says because she's very sharp and she's to the point. There's no wasted words with her. She says what she thinks and she says it with brevity and clarity.
Yeah, she's just cool people.
Straight into the point, like an honest woman and a soldier.
Yeah, and I just sat and ramble about whatever.
As we do. As we do.
You know, y'all, this is the second time I've been on your show.
Have you popped on before? Yeah.
Yeah. And the first time I popped on your show, I was like, I'm on a celebrity show.
Stop it.
No, and I'm on my brother's show all the time. I go on my brother's show, like, yeah, it's my brother's show, no big deal. I mean, he's only got like 5,000 subs. You know, I'm rocking out at 1,500, and I'm like, yeah.
I haven't got many more than you. I've only got 1,650 odd, 1,630.
Yeah, but you've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. But clearly, I'm not as magnetic as some of you guys because I don't drag the subs in as quickly. I had my peak last year, and I've plateaued now.
Now your stuff, you've got good stuff, bro. You know, you're one of the people that I tried. You're one of the people I go out of my way to catch.
Thank you. One thing I'm not going to do is sell out to get subs. That's
yeah.
Sean, as far as I'm concerned.
You know, it's like I love Sean's videos. I love when he comes on my show. It's like he comes on and he schools us on old school D&D.
Except when I get it wrong.
Yeah. Insert name here says that Hungar and James are good-natured folks.
Yeah, they'll sit and have a relaxed chat, and that's what you want. There's no issues, no problems, no bickering. It's just a relaxed, fun chat about whatever you want to chat about.
I don't want no dramas.
Nah.
If I want drama, I watch some K-drama on Netflix. Because I don't watch type TV either. I watch anime and K-drama and YouTube.
I don't watch telly at all, unfortunately.
When I was in my coma, they left it on sports and news for 2 months, man. And I couldn't get up and turn it off. And I heard it. So it's like when I woke up from my coma, I'm like, turn the TV off.
I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this.
That's part of their strategy. It's like, let's put the annoying stuff that'll make them wake up.
Yeah. No, could you even? I'm not a sports fan. I played football in high school and college. I like to play football. I like to play golf. When I was younger, I liked to do all that stuff. But you know what? I don't like that now. I'd rather play D&D, right?
I do like watching sport, but that's as much. I'm a competitive little bugger. I like watching sport. I like watching my kids play sport more than anything. I like competing in sport.
I like watching live sports. Like I will go to a football game. I go to a baseball game. I go to a soccer game where football, footy, whatever. It's soccer. Okay, I'm American. Yeah, freedom. But I don't want to watch it on TV because it just bores me.
It can be a bit slow. I mean, I went to Wembley to see the Eagles play the Jags a few years back. That was good. And I mean, for those who know me, I've played a lot of sports. I played rugby at school. I played cricket for 17 years. I captained a cricket team.
I've always wanted to hit somebody with a cricket bat.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, I've done that.
It's like spanking them. It's a flat.
Yeah. I was a rally driver for 7 years, and I've got a judo black belt. So yeah, nice. I've done a little bit of sport in my time.
See, I played football in high school and college. I was very active in the SCA for years, and I did Kempo karate. So yeah, you know, and it's like if you don't know what the SCA is, it's a bunch of idiots who dress in medieval style armor and fight full contact with rattan bamboo taped up with duct tape. So when it breaks, it doesn't shatter in people's eyes. So I did that for years. and I wore minimum armor, so I used to get thumped. But it's like I don't want to. It's like the Houston Astros baseball game training camp was 10 minutes away from where me and James lived and grew up. And we'd go there during the training camp and, minor league games. It's for like $7. Watch a baseball game. And that was great. And it's like, yeah, Houston won the Super Bowl or the World Series. They're like, that's our team. They train in our town.
My favorite sport to go and watch is rallying. Driving to the Welsh Forest, you pay £10 to park your car. You see about 3 hours worth of cars coming through, and you pay by the carload. You don't pay per person; you pay by the carload. So you take three or four people in the car, all chip in, take some sandwiches, flask of hot tea or coffee or whatever, and just sit there in the forest watching proper cars come flying past. And it's great.
That's like when I used to drag race. It was I think $10, and you were there for 6-7 hours. So that's a pretty good bargain. Yeah. And then I'd run my motorcycle, and so not only went to hang out with all my friends, but then I got to compete also.
I had an uncle who used to race dirt track.
Hold on. Eagle. The reason why you're alone is because you're linking. You're going into Hungar's channel.
Yeah, come over to
Elf Baits. Is he in Hungar's or Elf Baits?
She's in mine. Come over to Geek or Major's Musings channel.
Yeah, you can't see all the other chat because you are in a you're in a different channel. Unfortunately, there's lots of people chatting. It's just you can't see them. I can see you, and probably the people in my channel can't see you.
Yeah, we can see you in the StreamYards, but we can't see you on the individual channels.
Yeah. I had an uncle who used to race dirt track, and I used to help him with his car when I was younger in Kentucky, and I was always at the car races in Kentucky when I was young, middle school and high school, and that was fun.
That's a big thing up in this area. Well, further because I'm in the middle of nowhere, but I'm from Warren, which is about an hour and 15 minutes away. But over there, we have a dirt track called State Line. It's because half of the track is in New York and the other half of the track is in Pennsylvania.
Nice.
And that's a big thing over there.
So whose channel are most of the chatters in? Mac and Jay, I think, are in Major's channel, because Manfred can only see himself chatting.
Well, I'm getting ready to bounce off of here anyway because Diversity and Dragons is getting ready to start streaming.
All right. Well, I think before we go, because it is pumpkin hour, so it's just gone midnight here in the UK. So this is the time when my big fat head becomes even bigger and fatter and orange. But I think we need Mage to do his voices.
Oh, yes. Come on.
Yes.
I think we need Mage to do his voices because Jay is talking about your characters.
I think you're asking a little bit too much of me.
The Demi-Lich is a little trickier because I don't do it raw. I do a voice modulator to deepen it and play with it. But and same with the disclaimer imp. The disclaimer imp is sped up to get the high pitch.
I love the Demi-Lich.
Right. Anyway, I'm going to end the stream. Right. We haven't. Unfortunately, we didn't have a Saxius tonight because Saxius is
a bit of a headache.
He's got a headache. Yeah, so he couldn't come and join us.
Couldn't come deal with us with a headache. No, that's
no. And he'd have talked about spreadsheets all the time anyway, wouldn't he? Yeah, we know Saxius.
There's a nerd's nerd.
There she is.
Hello, a nerd's nerd. We're just about to finish. Because it's midnight my time, and I've got to go to bed. So I've got to be up for work in the morning.
She was working during my show all day today.
So before we go, I'm just going to say, Elfbait was here earlier. Elfbait has a channel. Subscribe to him. I interviewed Richard, the dungeon crawler, last night. He was in chat earlier. Go and he's a good guy. Go and subscribe to him as well. And Sean, can you shill your channel?
Yes, I'm Sean with Mage's Musings. I do game recaps, mainly game recaps lately. But when I get back to it, I'll be doing some more theory crafting, exploring the rules of old school games, and general wacky, silly stuff. And I do the sketches with puppets, the Archmage Merlinster Gendeldor, the Demilich Ace Eric, and of course the Disclaimer Imp, who pops in from time to time when there's something touchy that I need to warn people about.
If he monetizes, you know, I'm going to have to get some royalties off of that puppet.
Yeah.
The puppet was made before I knew you, so you just chalk it up to similarities, to likenesses.
Then I get to beat him for Halloween every year.
You can cosplay as the live action Merlinster Gandeldor. You just got to learn to do the voice and the mm-hmm.
If I make it a clear cut, I'm going to cosplay as your puppet.
I'll give you cards to pass out.
Daniel, you don't have a channel because you're a complete Luddite. We know that.
What's that again? No, I don't have a channel.
Because you as we know, you are a complete Luddite. You don't do modern computing. We have to talk you through joining in every week. But you are a living, breathing example of how technology has got you back into gaming and got you gaming with your family.
Yeah, because I hadn't played. I moved to Emporium in 2005. So I hadn't played since then. And thanks to you guys, I got back into it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And that is one of the biggest advertisements for using a little bit of technology into playing online. It's absolute godsend when it comes to finding people to play with. And Hungar, you've got to shill your channel before you go.
Hungar the Starvarian, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I have the Hungar's Chaotic Neutral live stream, and it is very chaotic neutral. Sean named it. Sean named my show.
You monetize, I expect a royalty.
You think they would monetize me? You've seen and been on my show before. We have F Friday. Okay, yeah, they're not gonna monetize me. And I also been streaming some Conan Exiles at crazy times during the day because chaotic neutral. That's the way I live my life. I'm guessing. You never know what I'm gonna do. And we just talk about fun stuff. Also, if you like the Hungar the Starvarian Mini, the person who made it, a nerd's nerd, is right here in the chat. Check her channel out. She's only got a couple of videos. She's very new, but her videos, I wish I could make videos like her.
I will be subscribing. I didn't know she's got a channel. I will be subscribing straight after this stream.
Yeah, her videos are great.
And of course, I'm the old geek. I talk about geeky stuff. I make 1 or 2 videos a week and do 2 live streams a week on average. Occasionally I do another one. I did another one last night. Do a bit of gaming streaming as well, but only video games at the moment. I'd like to live stream an RPG session at some point. And we've got a drinking game coming up soon, haven't we, Sean? At some point in the near future.
At some point, I made the mistake of not transferring the Drinking Quest files off of my desktop. But once I set up the desktop, I'll upload it to Roll20, and then we'll plan a drinking game.
Absolutely.
Another Drinking Quest.
That last time we did one of those, it was very entertaining. We had a drunken Sexius, we had a drunken Squirrel Hermit, we had a drunken Geek, and we ended up with a drunken Sean as well. So
that was great. Sean was counting that.
I underestimated the size of the glass I was using.
He was drinking that syrup whiskey.
Oh, you should have seen what happened after we stopped streaming. It really started to hit me. I was wasted for hours.
I'm gonna make sure that I take, because the last time I worked on the day that you guys did that, I'm gonna make sure I take the day off for this one. I'll
Good
be
man.
there.
Good man. But on that note, I've got to go to bed in a bit. I'm going to do a bit of subscribing and watching videos before chilling out before I go to bed. But I've got work in the morning. I'm going to be up for work in about 7 hours from now because my clock's right. And all of you have the wrong side of the planet. Your clocks are wrong. And on that note, cheers all. Thanks for joining us.
Have a good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Peace,
Good
love,
night.
and chicken grease.
Indeed.